went from model citizen to criminal like that. I pushed the wrong buttons. The governor goes on TV and he goes, we're dealing with the most dangerous man in the state of Vermont. You want to make me to be the bad guy? I'm going to show you the bad guy. The community I grew up in was all races, black, white, Jew, Gentile, straight, gay. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, that type of stuff wasn't as toxic as it is today. So integrating with just about every type of person molded me into the person that could acclimate with anyone. Early on, I got a skill of using guns. Very young, I got acclimated with using a gun, a rifle, and it was just very natural for me. I got very, I got trained, I got very skilled with it, and while everyone was doing something different, whether it be Atari or, comic books or baseball cards or something, I'd be out in the backyard working on firearm skills. I'd be shooting targets and, changing my distances and changing the elements of how I shot. So I came very quickly into mastering firearms. And I said to myself, well, listen, I don't know what it's going to come about this, but maybe someday I could do something with a gun, go into the military, go into law enforcement. I don't know. The future was unknown then. I go to college. College was good, but it wasn't the direction. I joined the military. I wasn't successful in the military. I caught an injury. So I was like, well, maybe my career, my ideas of doing something with a gun are over, but it wasn't. Through the late 90s into the early 2000s, terrorism and other things started to manifest. I was still mastering my skills with firearms. I was training and working to be, unbeknown to you, but maybe if you do know, a dynamic shooter, which morphed into the gunfighting title. I became a gunfighter.
They have those contests, right, where they run from one stand or
one station.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, one station to another, where they do long. They fire at a distance, then they fire another weapon, then they fire close range, then they go into, they go from station to station, and then whoever got the best score wins or something like that.
In the ideology behind that, Matt, is that's a sportsmanship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The competitive nature is the points. What I was trying to master is the competitive nature of staying alive. Shooting dynamically, shooting strategically, and shooting in an element where either my life or other people's lives would depend on the proficiency and accuracy of my shooting.
Right.
Make sense? Okay. So terrorism, 9/11 happens, and now here comes my opportunity. I become a private security contractor. I don't know if you know what that means.
But not everybody does.
Right. The private security contractor was a new term for mercenary.
Yeah.
Post-Vietnam, all the way up until just after Operation Desert Storm, the first invasion in Iraq, they had to find a more politically correct term that wasn't offensive for the private security contractor. The private security contractor is, in my personal opinion, because I was one of them, and among them, the person that did the dirty work that really got the levels of war and success into eradicating terrorism completed, right? You're running around with complete immunity and impunity. I don't know if you're aware of that, and some of the audience may or may not know, but you're doing the dirty work that no one wants accountability for, okay? So 2001 comes, people are running around trying to get these jobs, and people are getting on different details and getting different contracts to deploy overseas, and I happen to become one of them. I get in that world, I get in that career, I get in that mindset.
That's good money.
It was very good.
Several guys in prison who were private security, they were all making a couple $100,000.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started, it was $1,250 for a 12-hour tour, plus per diem. Now, if you had the mental and physical bandwidth to work a couple of doubles, which would be a full day, you're making a phenomenal amount of money, plus it's tax-free.
Right.
So, the incentives are there, but that incentive and that incentivization motivated anyone and everyone to get behind a gun. And just prior to 2005, when they changed the dynamics of who, what, when, and where would qualify to be a private security contractor, a lot of individuals, law enforcement personnel, other security professionals, maybe someone that didn't have any background in a firearm. I know investment bankers that were good shooters. They were competition shooters or hunters that would run to go get this type of job, but didn't have the mindset to stay alive or face, the valley of death, right? You're not shooting at paper and steel targets now. You're shooting at a human being that's going to rally bullets back at you.
Right.
So prior to 2005, there was a lot of people perishing. You would see a group of people come in and lose their lives to that almighty American dollar, right? Maybe they were making more, maybe they were making less. I don't know. A lot of government officials and private security contracting owners, like Eric Prince, I don't know if you ever heard of him or others, were basically making a mockery of trying to get rich but getting dead quick. I was fortunate enough to, not perish, obviously. I have a saying, every gunfight I've been in, I've successfully navigated because I'm here alive. I cherish that, and I think it's a very valuable tool, but it didn't come that easily because for private security contracting personnel, the training model or the arena, let's say, to train is very difficult, right? You can't just go to an average sportsman's associations or gun club and run around and want to shoot from your car or shoot from elevations or do what would look abnormal to you, but normal to me. Do you follow? Yeah. So that type...
those types of centers are like in the military, right? They have areas where it's set up for that specifically.
So the military and conventional law enforcement have those facilities, training centers, camps, et cetera. That's not open and or was kind of cliche for the guy that's coming in saying, hey, listen, I'm a private security contractor. Could I please rent this area or could I please train here? Number one, the individual that you're asking is like, you SOB, you're making, $1,000, $2,000 a day, and you're taking people's lives with zero accountability. So it was a very toxic ego rush, right? I was faced with it too. I went to many gun clubs. I went to many police academies and said, hey, listen, can I train here? The answer was always a hard no, man. It was. Number one, from the egomaniac standpoint. That was a prominent frontline issue, right? I'm here making maybe $59,000 a year to be a police officer, and you know what I mean? So you see where I'm going with this? And then the liability was also very concerning because you're going to be doing stuff that is abnormal in the law enforcement eyes, right? They pull their gun, stop, freeze, stop in the name of the law when you're pulling your gun and shooting because someone's shooting at you.
Right.
Okay. So it made a very toxic environment. And that toxic environment made people say, well, you know what? I'm just not going to train. I'll just wing it. I'll work the problem out, which I do believe in that ideology. I do. But when you're in a gunfight or you're in a very serious life-threatening situation, you'd want to revert back to training.
Yeah, it's muscle memory, right? Like you can't. Right. You can know what to do, but if you haven't been, but muscle memory takes over, and is that you can shut down or you can actually react?
Right. Dynamic shooting, dynamic training is the polar opposite of what your conventional law enforcement officer has, and even the modern military has today. They will go out on a range or go in an environment, we call them training scenarios, and shoot a way that manifests with directions, right, Matt? Move from point A to point B. Okay, it seems simple, but what happens if there's an individual in between? And that element is heavily predicated on liability. That's the number one thing. Firearms institutions, firearms training places, ranges, where you could go and maybe pay, I don't know, $20 an hour. I don't know if you've seen them. I'm sure they're here in Florida. But there's always rules, and there's probably 2-3 dozen rules. And in fighting, whether you've been in a fist fight, a knife fight, or a gunfight, there are no rules. So how are you to abide by a set of rules here and there which don't set the precedent when you're in the fight, how to fight? And that's where I came into how, number one, I got myself into trouble, but number two, how I was really trying to articulate to folks, hey, listen, I'm Daniel Banyai. I'm a private security contractor. I'm seeing life being taken. I'm seeing life loss that could have been prevented. And the prevention was, I'm over here, I'm overseas, anywhere overseas, outside of the United States of America, training was dynamic. whether you were in the Middle East, whether you were in Central Europe, anywhere but the United States, every training model was the preservation of human life. How can we train and train to stay alive, which is a completely different matrix than here in the United States. Here in the United States, people are going to say, how can we train but still stay in liability? We can't have any boo-boos, we can't have any accidents, but we can't have any near-life threatening situations because that would challenge the very value of insurance, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I come up with this idea. I'm overseas. I'm working long days, long nights, and I'm trying to keep my mind busy. I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to open up a firearms training institute. I'm going to build some place. I don't know how I'm going to fund it. I don't know how I'm going to build it. I don't know how I'm going to make the logistics of this happen, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to build a place where people can come and shoot their guns.
When I was locked up, I thought a lot about home-cooked meals. Now that I'm free, I try to enjoy them as much as I can. That's why I like HelloFresh. It makes cooking easy, even if you're busy. The meals are simple, they taste great, and they bring everyone to the table. They've got over 100 recipes every week from all over the world. Big portions too, so nobody leaves hungry. If you're trying to eat better, they've got more than 35 high-protein meals each week. They also use good ingredients, like seafood that's sourced the right way, and chicken with no antibiotics or hormones. And the quality, you can taste it. Now they've got more seafood, grass-fed steak, and fresh produce like pears, apples, and asparagus. Because when dinner tastes this good, nothing hits like home cooking. I use HelloFresh, and you should too. Go to HelloFresh.com/ITC10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free Zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
I find this place in Vermont. I'm a New Yorker now, right? I don't know much about Vermont, but I find this place in Vermont and I go look at it, okay? It's a 31-acre parcel of land, which if you Google Earth it, it's in the middle of nowhere. I'm at the highest, this piece of property is at the highest plateau in the community. So everyone's beneath me or everyone's beneath the land. It's in the middle of nowhere. Behind me is the largest slate quarry in the United States, but in the Museum of Slate, the largest slate quarry in the world, okay? So we're talking about thousands and thousands of acres of dunes and rock, and they're just mining. They're going deeper and deeper. And then there's this 31-acre parcel that I purchased with hundreds of thousands of acres of undeveloped land on the left, the right, et cetera. You follow me?
Yeah.
So in the middle of nowhere, shouldn't really bother anyone. I buy this land. I get all excited. I'm still working overseas. I'm not telling anyone. I'm not, because who's going to believe me? First of all, yes, I'm making great money. I'm trying to save that money, but I still also have responsibilities, right? And I also don't want to embellish something that if you told me you were going to build this place and you looked at me, I might not believe you either. So I just keep it on the down low. I purchased the land outright. No mortgage, no nothing. I start like little.
What does 31 acres in Vermont in the middle of nowhere cost?
So I bought it for $59,000. It's right now the market's down. If you could buy large parcels of land in Vermont for probably between $700 and $800 an acre right now.
And you're saying there's nothing around it. Is it accessible?
Yeah. So dirt roads. There's dirt roads.
That works.
Yeah. I have a neighbor which I plan to tell you about. He's about 4,000 feet away from the boundaries of my property. The people they're around, but unbeknown to many, some of them are trailers, single, double wides, shanties. I'm not trying to insult anyone. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is, right. I'm just trying to help people relive this situation. And under the government term, we'll get to that, is habitable structure. It could be a 8x10 shed, and people do live in that comfortably. I live in an off-grid home. Like I live in a tiny home, 250 square feet on this property. So Vermont, to me, was a motivator because at that time, and still to this day, is a Second Amendment state. Do you know what that means?
I mean,
no permit necessary for your gun.
Okay.
Right. You don't need a concealed.
I was going to say, are we all Second Amendment states?
Well,
but
Florida just changed. It wasn't a Second Amendment. you had to go to Florida Fish and Wildlife and get a permit and, all these other things. Now you just say, it's a Second Amendment. You put a gun in your waistband, you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is the way it should be everywhere in the United States of America, my personal opinion.
You used to have a concealed weapons permit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In Florida, if you wanted to carry it with you.
Right.
Which is funny because then if you go to like Tennessee, you could get a permit. But if it was concealed, you couldn't carry it concealed.
Right, open carry. Right.
There was no open carry here.
Right.
It has to be concealed.
Right.
And there, it has to be out in the open. Like, what's the difference? Like, why is like?
And that's a confusing part that it could be a whole nother segment. But the moral of the story is that states and territories that are Second Amendment, you don't need any permit. You just go to the store. You buy the gun, you put it in your waistband, you open carry, concealed carry, put it in the rack of your truck, whatever.
I think that society would be much more polite.
Right. And that was a motivator to me because I'm this guy that wants to welcome people from all over the United States. And a lot of my friends are of the marginalized communities. They might be black, they might be Hispanic, they might be Asian, they come from New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts with their guns. It'd be nice to come to a state where they're not ostracized.
Right.
And that was the pretext. Like that was really the motivating factor to buy this land in Vermont, right? There were going to be minimal, unbeknown to me, minimal restrictions on firearms possession. I buy this property and I start making hypotheticals and I'm thinking, I'm not necessarily even drawing stuff out yet because I'm still kind of timid. Like, what if someone looks over and sees me drawing something? They're going to be like, oh, you're full of crap, Banyai, So I start doing little things, right? I buy the property. I start walking it. I'm tagging trees. I'm like, I'm becoming the visionary. Where am I going to build this premier firearms training institute? Walking around with my dog, walking around, figuring things out. So the first thing I do is I'm like, well, there's a little influx of trespassing, right? It's another thing that is very unbeknown to American citizens, but anyone that borders Vermont and some Vermonters can go anywhere they want unless you specifically do X, Y, and Z to keep people off your property. It's not like any other state. In polar opposite here from Florida, you can't just say, Matt, stop, you can't go on my property.
Right.
You have to put a sign up. The sign has to have specific verbiage to quote the state statute, has to have your name, contact information, and the year. Then you have to take that to your county clerk, pay a $5 application and file it. All these steps, if you don't do, someone could come right over and go like this to you, and it could go on your property. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem for me because I'm getting ready to someday build this firearms training institute, right?
Right.
Shooting 24/7, day, night, etc. So I see this influx of trespassing. I see tracks go in. The road to get into the property is over a quarter mile long. You have to traverse switchbacks, etc. It's not vroom, it's like this, okay? Yeah. See footsteps, tracks, stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put up a gate. Let me be responsible and put a gate up. I build this gate, put some wood in, I put a nice gate, I put a lock on it. Sure enough, I put this gate up. Happens to be the worst day. I've got like 6 or 7 young men, black and Hispanic, from New York City. It was a program I was mentoring, troubled youth. All of them were in trouble with the law.
Right.
I'd bring them up to Vermont. We chop wood. We talk about stuff. You know what I mean? Trying to mentor these young men, which most of them have become successful, doing the right thing. These 2 hillbillies pull in. And a lot of the media about me have a little excerpt about this incident, but this is really the forefront of where my problems really started to manifest in Vermont. So these 2 gentlemen that come in, Mr. Dick Hewlett and his son Richard Hewlett, they pull in and they come up to me and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? And I said, listen, hi, gentlemen, I just put this gate up. I'm just trying to stop. I'm not telling them about my plans. I'm not telling them anything. I'm just saying, hey, listen, I own this land, and if you paid attention to your mail, I mailed you a letter. I don't know if you do it, but when I go into a new community, I try to find my 4 budding neighbors, mail them a little letter. Hey, my name's Daniel. I'm moving in. Fido's the name of the dog. Yeah. Charlie's the name of the hamster.
Yeah.
Please welcome me. I said to Mr. Hewlett, the father, I said, sir, I mailed you a letter. I don't know if you got it, but yeah, no, you fucking flatlanders. Now, I never heard that term before. So I have my adopted son with me. He's like 16, 17 years old. And I'm like, sir, Flatlander? And Joey is his name. He picks up his phone and he Googles it. So I said, sir, I don't know if that's a positive term or a derogatory term, but I'm going to assume it's a positive term.
Right.
Joey yells, he calls me FD, fake dad. He goes, yo, FD, he basically just told you to fuck off. Like Flatlander's a demeaning term to people from New York, New Jersey. I'm just like, here we go, right? So these two, hillbillies, they're like, listen, we don't like this gate here. We don't like this fence here.
It's on your land.
Well, I said that. I said, sir, listen, it's on my land. And I'm also trying to set an example, Matt. I've got felon youth, right?
Yeah.
That are in New York, it's family court. It's criminal court, but you're still in a family court arena to adjudicate your crimes. They're not upstanding citizens.
Yeah.
Okay. They probably have a knife or something on them. I'm not frisking them. They're weekend visits with me. But moral of the story is I'm trying to be a model mentor.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. You're trying to de-escalate instead of telling the guy to go fuck off.
Right. So I'm just trying to tell him, I'm like, listen, sir. He's like, no, listen, this gate's got to come down. We don't like it here. You're going to put a McMansion up there. And I said, no, I'm not going to put a McMansion up there. I go, I'm entitled to, though.
Right.
I'm legally, if I wanted to build the World Trade Center, rebuild, I could do that. Whatever. I mean, but I'm not going to do that. No. So push comes to shove with, verbal assaults back and forth without profanity. They're like, listen, you have until Black Friday to remove this gate or we're going to take it down. Oh, okay, buddy. Yeah. Have a good day. Get out of here now, right? So we go about our weekend. Now, Black Friday came. Black Friday went. I didn't take the gate down. I think in the police report I had a little over $1,100, which upgraded it technically to a felony for them. But so they went and they tore the gate down. Those two guys and one other guy, Bob Jones, Bob Jones.
Where are you at this time?
So I'm in New York. Yeah, I'm in New York. This is 2013.
Right.
I'm in New York. I'm working. At that time, I was doing a dignitary protection detail, so I'd work like 4 days on, 3 days off. But I'm in New York, in my home in New York, and I'm trying to develop the property in Vermont. But it's not always proper.
Yeah, you're not there 24 hours.
Yeah, I can't go there. You know what I mean? So the guy calls me up, this son, Richard Hewlett, and Junior, he calls me up, and right on my voicemail, I was like, listen, we told you, we gave you a deadline. You didn't listen. Now you're going to feel our wrath. We tore the gate down. So, okay, I'm hoping he's bluffing, this other thing. So I call a local level of law enforcement there. He goes up and he's like, yeah, Daniel, they tore it down. And I said, is it all there? They're like, yeah, they tore it down. They just threw it over deeper on the property line. So he says to me, do you want to file charges? And I'm like, I just bought this. Well, I do. Well, I should have. And that's the bane of my existence. I should have. But I didn't. And, I thought about it. I'm like, wow, I just bought this land. Like I bought it in July of 2013. Now it's Black Friday. It's only a few months into ownership of this land. And these guys, these yo-yos, they tear this gate down. So, man, I'm like, okay. Now snow's coming. It gets snow covered. So fast forward to spring. I come up now with not youth, a couple of my buddies, gun guys. We put the gate back up. Sure enough, Junior, Richard Hewlett Jr., the son, he comes. You remember Wilson Leather when we were younger in the malls, Wilson Leather?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember their jackets with the buckles? And it was on every mannequin at Wilson Leather. Like whether you were Wilson Leather in Georgia or California, whatever, it was like their model jacket. This dipshit has this jacket on. First thing I think is Wilson Leather. He comes in with his truck and his logger boots, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm literally putting the fence back in. I couldn't put it in the same holes because they ripped it all out.
Right.
So I put it back like another 6 to 8 feet. And now nobody's there. So I said to him, I said, listen, man, I'm putting this gate back up. He goes, you put that gate back up, I'm tearing it down. And I said, listen, man, this is no way to start this relationship, right? This is highly inflammatory. Like you're outside of your mind. Like I own this land. You have no, you're trying to be controlling. And I'm like, controlling? Like,
fucker, I own this land. Right, it's my land.
Right. I'm like, listen, I tell you what, I'll give you a key. You're so inclined to be on my land. I'll give you, no. Then I'm going to have to contribute to your taxes. This is the mindset.
Okay,
It's just,
you're a retard.
So I said, listen, man, I'm telling you right now, I have no water. I'm going to a creek. I'm taking buckets to make concrete. I've got no air tools. You're a carpenter. You're building stuff. You know, like I'm using hand tools. I'm drilling. Like this is a monster reset for me. Like redoing all of this again is troublesome and outside the scope of reality. Listen, I'm not going to argue with you. You tear the gate down again, you're going to have a big problem. And I just turned my back on him. So we put the same gate back up, everything. Luckily, he smartened up. But that started the onset of how I became the most dangerous man in Vermont, according to the Vermont governor. Okay. Build the gate. Now it's 2013, 2014. I start getting equipment there. I'm trying to work less. I'm thinking about my retirement. I'm thinking about, all right, I don't want to dodge bullets anymore. I want to build this training facility. I want to provide something to society that's outside the scope of reality. You want to be a good doctor? You go to different surgical schools and different training. Whatever. There's not this for people that run and gun. There's not this environment for people that want to be proficient with a gun. You know, Colonel Cooper, a legendary gunfighter, built a place down south. Mr. Prince built a place in the Carolinas. You know, but how accessible is 2 places? There needs to be 4 or 5. There needs to be 10, 15 places in the United States that can offer what I wanted to do. So I start moving earth. I build berms. You know what berms are, right? Yeah. Okay, I start building some berms. I build range number 1, a close quarter CQB. It's called close quarter battle range. Guys,
so are you putting up? So I mean, a berm's just
dirt.
Big dirt.
Yeah.
But are you putting up actual like structures?
Yeah.
Like these are like half homes.
Yes.
Half
yes.
built?
So under the legal term and what my lawyers have advocated with the proper verbiage, it's called a facade. So what I would do is I'd build a house, but just the front of it, inside, and then we put catwalks, almost like a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be like, okay, one was an apartment building, a 2-story apartment building. You could go up the fire escape, breach the window, shoot, you know, rescue someone.
But there's not 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a bathroom.
No.
It's just what they would people would actually be in the home.
Exactly. And in walls like you have here with the wheels, you'd move them around. And I was big on reactionary shooting, letting the shooter know their success, because if we got in a gun battle, maybe I shot you, you'd say ow or fuck or something. So I put a lot of steel targets up. So we'd move the steel targets around. We'd move the large screen TVs around, you know, whatever. We had refrigerators. We made the environment reality. And that was kind of my model, reality-based training. How can we shoot reality-based? Okay. So I put the first berm up with a facade, which was a 2-story apartment complex. I had asphalt roofing, everything that you would encounter for the urban type of training, you know what I mean? And a little different than what I've initially envisioned, because I wanted it to really be a Middle Eastern based, but I didn't have the money for stucco or terracotta or these other things. So I built it within the budget that I had and the realism that was in the United States of America.
As America turns 250 this year, it has me thinking about the people that really helped build this country. Not the ones in history books. I'm talking about American ranchers. The men and women who wake up before the sun, work long days, and keep food on our tables year after year. That's exactly why I like Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers honors that legacy by only sourcing their meat from local American farmers and ranchers. Everything from the pasture to the final seal on the box is done right here in America. I'm actually a Good Ranchers subscriber myself. In fact, my wife and I had the chicken nuggets last night and they were amazing. And that's not the only thing they have. They have steak, chicken, seafood, and more. And all of it is amazing quality. If you want to support American ranchers and get great meat at the same time, now's the time to try it. Subscribe today and get free meat plus $100 off your first 3 orders. That's $40 off your first order and $30 off your next 2. Just use my code INSIDE. That's goodranchers.com. American meat delivered.
You know, you would just have to incorporate your environmental changes wherever you are.
Cookie cutter homes.
Yeah, right. So I put range 1 up, and I had some other military folks involved with me.
Can I mention, just because I like to do carpentry, I'm not great at it, but how much fun this would fucking be to build this thing, to design it, to figure it out, to put it up, to like that. To me, that would be so much fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of angry gunmen arguing over a YouTube video. Right. No, it says to put the truss in here, and we don't have a micro lamb, and you don't have 6 penny nails. And, you know, it was a bunch of apex alpha type guys that were a blessing to me, my partners, my teammates that I fought in combat with and fought in battles with, gun battles with, trying to build stuff.
Right. So but they're not home builders.
Right. No. They're home wreckers. Yeah. You know, so we get range 1 built, and I said, okay, listen, in building range 1, Vermont didn't have any standards. We went to the environmental conservation. They're like, no, we don't have anything. We went to air, water, and soil. We didn't have anything. So what I did was I went to federal standards, EPA, right? Who would argue the EPA? Who would argue the DEC? So I got these books and these manuals, actually, and I built the property to exceed federal standards. Why I emphasize that is because a lot of people don't put grass seed or anything on berms. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want the berms to erode, you know what I mean? So I put jute net. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a fiber. They're rolls. They're these big rolls. A lot of them are like coconut based, or some of them are hay or straw based. But they're big mats you roll out. They have seed in it. You pin it into the earth. It keeps the soil stabilized while vegetation grows through it.
Okay, I was thinking because what I was thinking is, you know, that black mesh. And then they have the other one that they're like rubber. They're like squares of rubber. And I've seen people roll. They're like green. You roll those out, and I thought that kind of hugs it down. But it still allows grass to grow up through it. But
so I buy like this one, and I get a tractor trailer load delivered, and I find out through some environmental research that didn't allow an indigenous timber rattlesnake. In my area, it's the timber rattler. They're very prone to the acidic nature of the slate, whatever. So it's indigenous to my area. I find that the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, doesn't like that fabric that I bought because the snakes can't go through it. So I call the manufacturer. I told them, they're like, okay, we're going to send a distributor. We load it all back on a tractor trailer. Mm-hmm. They take it away. They come back with all the approved one. Like, I went to every element.
Yeah, you went to every extreme to make sure you
drainage mitigation, soil stabilization, lead mitigation. You know, how can we look at a 50-year, 100-year? I mean, I'm going to be long gone, but I'm doing everything I can for the future to help this property be pristine. And we get range 1 built, and now a level of professionalism in the gun world is safety briefings. How and where can you can convene a group of people, 15, 20 guys, or whoever, one-on-one, and start a safety briefing. Okay? Safety briefing has to be in a building. Military does it in a tent. A lot of government agencies do in Connex containers. You know, they make those little mobile offices. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a step above that. So I'm like, I'm going to build a school building. Okay? School building, I had to go to the town and get a permit. I get this permit for a 50 by 30 building. It's not big. It's not big. No plumbing. No electricity.
It's a shed.
Basically. Yeah. You know,
like a garage.
Right. In New York, you'd have to get a CO signed off, different inspections. None of that is in Vermont. You just go in and you apply for this permit, yay or nay, and then you go. So I get this permit, and this is what started the notoriety and really the negative connotation behind Slate Ridge, and that's what I named my facility, Slate Ridge. The building administrator, Mr. Eric Mack, which after lengthy review, my attorney's paying thousands of dollars in private investigators, comes after 33 years of serving this community to be illiterate and dyslexic. Now, might not mean anything to you, it might not mean anything to me, because my permit's already signed.
Yeah.
Right. I built that building to the actual measurement. Right. They sent out officials to measure it's 30 by 50. And that was in 2017. Okay. So I get this permit signed by this guy that's served the community. I'm giving you context as it comes together, that come to find out was dyslexic and illiterate, but served the community for 33 years. Signed, give me this permit. I built that building exactly to the specifications. Okay. 2017. We start to really not advertise, but solicit. Hey, listen, the local FBI bureau, if you need your HRT guys or you need, people to come, we have this facility. U.S. Marshal, every branch of the government.
Right.
Right. We were exclusively servicing the federal government, the United States military, and any attachés, anyone that was supplying or officiating any duties to the United States government under a contract could come and train there. Right. Now, unbeknown to many, I already had federal accreditation. I had a federal firearms license. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I had my class 3 NFA and an SOT, which means I physically had machine guns, suppressors, silencers, short barrel guns, smaller guns, which is the bane of existence nowadays. And I also had a federal explosive license. So we had Simtex, we had C4, we had det cord. We had all of the accoutrements to make people successful in the firearms world, right? And why that was beneficial for the firearms world people, because it's like, let's say you were a government agency and you wanted to come and say, hey, listen, we have a breacher door. We want to put some det cord on it, breach the door. Okay, I have that. Right. Here's my license. It's the same thing. Canine units would come and they're like, listen, we're always using diluted material for these dogs. Very rarely can we come and have an actual piece of C4 or Simtex, or, it's no different than if the dog handler's like, listen, I'd really like my dog to get entertained by real cocaine, not something that has been diluted. Right. We had all these things there to make these individuals and these government agencies successful. And they embraced us. They did. Because where could you go? But here's the other big thing. This was all for free.
Okay.
We never charged anyone. I was so involved in getting people.
Not sure I agree with that.
Well, no one does, including my lawyers. They think it's the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. But unbeknown to many, I really wanted people to stop dying and stop perishing when they got in a gun battle. Mm-hmm. And I believe, from my experience and or other authentic and bona fide gunfighters, there are a number of people in the United States that they have no notoriety, or they do, but they've literally have battled people with guns and been successful. I wanted them to be able to come and adjunct and teach there and get people proficient. So we get going, right? It's 2017, 2018. People in the community are seeing black SUVs, and we applied for a heliport through the FAA. We got the heliport. We put up a very large windsock, which some would say, you know what the windsock is? At airports,
it's the
orange
the cone
yes,
thing.
Yes,
where the wind blows.
Yep. Yeah. So we put up a very large one, obtrusive to some, but don't look at it. Helicopters, rotary wing aircraft that would come in, they need that. They need to know the direction the wind is going, et cetera. So we're moving, right? Kind of like we're growing. We're building, and we're proceeding to get to the next level of this dynamic environment. 2017, 2018, 2019 comes, right? More people in the community are like, hey, what's going on up there? Who is this guy? Why is he behaving so clandestine? And
come up.
Well, that's one of the things. I had this young lady, Melissa, which was like our public relations person. She was on the social media platforms, and we weren't really social media people, but she was like, listen, if you want to know, come up, right?
Yeah.
Daniel's got farm animals here. He's got cows, sheep, goats, donkeys, horses. Like, come up. Like, he's built this environment so that, let's say you're a gun person, you come up and you bring your wife. She's going to sit around and hem and haw, but no, she could go pet some sheep, ride a horse. I made it a family-orientated place.
Yeah.
But in that family orientation, in came the influx of blacks, Hispanics, Asians. And the community didn't like that.
They don't like that in Vermont?
No. Vermont,
how'd the hillbillies feel?
Well, that's the precursor to my next story here.
This wasn't a militia. You didn't have 150 militia guys that were in single wide trailers.
No.
And marching their perimeter with their AKs.
No. I did have a militia group come, but I'll tell you about that. But
they're not living there training to take over the government for the future coming race war.
No.
There's no what is it? No Turner Diary guys.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, no. But what was an issue was the people would come up, and in the middle of nowhere, You'd go into my community for goods and services, fuel, beverages, coffee, whatever, and they were ostracized. People.
Right. Yeah.
And these things would affect me because I'm saying, hey, brother, come to my place, right? Embrace Slate Ridge, embrace what we have here. But then you get verbally accosted or you get some weird, and man, I never saw that coming. Like, when I bought that land, I did the stereotypical things. Check the taxes.
Yeah.
Right? Check the school districts.
Right.
Check the crime rate.
Zoning.
Yeah. This is a great place.
Yeah.
At that point, I wasn't necessarily going to live there because I didn't have that mindset. Yeah, I didn't know where I was going to go with it, but I thought it was a good place to develop something, right? Whether you call it a business, some people insult me and say it's a hobby. Some people say, I mean, they're all applicable in my opinion. But the effective nature is that how would I know how racist it is? Listen, Vermont is the most racist state I've ever seen. And I say that because I have friends I work with from Alabama, Mississippi, and they're like, listen, we come up here, the Ku Klux Klan is nothing like it is. Like, these people are pompous, they're arrogant, they're prominent, they're out there.
Right.
So 2019, I have this very large parking lot, and when you pull in, government, there's signs, formal like a street sign, but professional, like government parking here, police, veterans, and then visitors. This truck pulls in. It was an old F-150. This was. We got 1, 2. Now this is the third.
Do you have cameras up?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have everything up. Cameras, audio, you name it.
All right.
So this pickup truck pulls in. I'll never forget this. I was in the right place at the right time. Pickup truck pulls in. There's 3 guys on a bench seat in the front, right? And I see them. And, they didn't park in a park. They just kind of parked in the middle. So. It's Mr. John Davis, Mr. Paul Talander, and Mr. Jay Lupke, right? I didn't know their names at this time. So the first guy gets out. He's in all white garb. Puts his Ku Klux hand.
Right? Are you serious?
No. Listen. This is next level stuff, right?
That may need to be on the thumbnail.
Yeah. The next 2 get out and they've got the red white supremacist. So the guy goes, "Hail Hitler, white power." And I'm like, whoa. I look at the guys and I said, a little early for Halloween.
Right.
Little did I know how much that got me in trouble with the police. So they get out of the truck and they're starting to talk to me. So I yelled to everyone, women and children, get in the building. Everyone scatters. Now it's like tense, right? I get goosebumps reliving the story because this has happened on my land, right? 1/4 mile in, Matt, past the gate, into the parking lot. You're definitely on private property now, right? All the provisions I told you in the beginning of the podcast. You got to do this. You got to do that. You're setting the property up to be no trespassing. Guy says to me, Mr. Lupke says to me, "Daniel?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Listen, we did a genealogy on your dad." Now I'm like, now my dad was a great dad. He worked all the time. I barely knew my dad because all he did was to work and provide for me. Good father, excellent human being. But did I know like the ins and outs of my dad? No. And I thought my dad was a Christian like me, which we went to church. He says, "Daniel, we did a genealogy on your dad and we found Jew blood in him." And he called me a So I'm a little bit further away than we are now, but I take a few steps back to make a little distance. And I said to the one gentleman, I said, "Sir," he goes, "It's Grand Wizard."
You got to go, bro. Like,
so I took a step back. Another guy came up on my 6 right here. So I said, "Listen, gentlemen," I said, "Look, I can see by your silhouette, right? You have no firearms on you, right? You would print. You ever heard that term, printing? Yeah. Okay. You're not printing. You can't even, so I'm going to assume none of you 3 morons have a gun on you." I said, "In my waistband right here," and I point down, and I'm not looking down there, is my appendix carry. I said, "I have a pistol in there with 18 rounds in my magazine. There's enough for all 3 of you." I said, "Get the fuck off my property or I'm going to end you." So they get back in their truck. They leave.
Good. Okay.
Good.
That ended well. Yeah.
All right. Well, an hour later, Sergeant Blake Cushing is at the gate with another state trooper, Vermont State Police. "Daniel, can we come up?" "Yeah, come on up." Comes up. We relive the story. tell them all the details. Almost all the details they said were accurate, Mac. 99% of their story was 100% accurate. Sergeant Blake Cushing says to me, you know what, Daniel? I said, what's that, Sergeant? He goes, you could be arrested. Really? He goes, you just threatened those men. I said, okay. He said, you don't realize that they are constitutionally protective? The Ku Klux Klan and their affiliation is constitutionally protected. I said, Sergeant, absolutely. I fight for the Constitution every time I get behind a gun. I said, I am 100% in tune with their constitutional rights, but they are 1/4 mile in on my property preaching hate.
Right.
And hate that is not applicable. I'm not a fucking Jew. I'm a Christian. And I'm white.
Right.
Like, they're like, well, I said, listen, I said, you know what? Go ahead, arrest me. You want to arrest me? Go ahead, arrest me. Because this is ridiculous. Well, you have to respect. I go, listen, I respect everyone. I don't have a problem. I go, these guys are out of line. They're way out of their league. I said, and they're really messing with the wrong person. Like, I'm not that guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now, okay, so we have the hate. The Ku Klux Klan comes into my world. Now the police come into my world, right? So I'm a target now, right? Okay, we got this wise ass that's not going to respect the Klan. Listen, I don't care what group it is. I'm not aligning with you. I'm not.
I am really in shock that this
Yeah.
is even a conversation, or that they could get any result at all out of the police by going to, or that they would have the guts to go to the police.
Well, it's a. I don't know if you ever heard that term. You can't fight City Hall.
Yeah.
But that really came into my forefront. The paradigm shift for me was, at that point, I'm really facing a monster here, in every element, all the way into the government. That guy, Mr. John Davis, in my documentary film, he's in his suspenders, his white supremacy. He's the first person that comes up, but that's a whole nother story. But so I explained to the police. I said, listen, Sergeant, listen, you want to take me? Take me right now. Here, I call the guy. Come take my gun. You know, no, we're going to give you. You need to relive this and rework this out and understand. I go, no. You see the sign down at the end of the gate? It says everyone's welcome. That means a black, an Asian, an Hispanic, everyone that I've grown up with, like I told you, right? I don't know where you go, and it could quite be possible. It's not in my purview, where there's organizations say pure white, Anglo-Saxon, whatever, sign up here. That's not what I developed this land for. So they leave. So now I have this tension. And the tension, not of epic proportions yet, but of sincerity. Like, it's a problem right now. Now the police have come up. Unbeknown to me, the Vermont State Police were one of the agencies and organizations that never took advantage of my land. Like, everyone around would come. Other police agencies, they'd be like, hey, Daniel, we got a high risk felony warrant tonight. Can we borrow a couple of machine guns? And I'm like, yeah, give me a chief LEO letter. Have your guy, have the chief sign it. Now you can borrow 4 or 5 guns. Mm-hmm. What do you need? Like, I'm here to help you. I'm here to embrace you. I'm a good guy, right? At this time, right. I'm a good guy. So now it's like 2019. Now the community is starting to really push, right? And that's where we come into the term the zoning violator. So the community in Vermont, it's a really bizarre scenario. I hope it doesn't exist anywhere in the country. But if you're my neighbor, if I have a square parcel, my abutting neighbor is everyone that touches my land. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The abutting neighbor has some say and some rights, not into what I'm doing, but as a courtesy, a privilege to say, hey, Matt, I'm going to put an addition on for a jacuzzi. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Right? It's my responsibility to advise you. Hey, Matt, I'm going to put in a 8x10 shed. I'm going to put my lawn tractor in there. Right. You really don't have a yay or nay, but you just need to be
kept abreast of
the
situation.
You have to be kept. I have to oblige you the opportunity for you to be aware of it, so you don't come out Sunday morning and bam, there's a brand new shed. Which is
I don't. Okay, so real quick, so I don't understand. Is it if you're applying for a permit, you have to notify all your neighbors?
Yes,
and then they have 90 days to oppose it?
14.
They have 14 days,
right.
Which is great. That's way better than
yeah.
So, and that they can go to the zoning. It's not like a public hearing, right? They can just, it is a public hearing?
Yeah. So
then they can go to the public hearing.
Right. Okay. So this is what happened. But they should have done that when I got the permit approved.
Right. Did you notify them?
Oh yeah, right.
So they've all been notified. They just skirted their.
It's several years later now. We're in 2019, and the group, which it's called the Grand Wizard. I don't know if you know anything about the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
Okay. So their main guy, the Grand Wizard, he lives at the end of my road. I didn't know this.
Right.
There's no forum. Like the police, like, oh, you should have went to, Daniel, here's your fault. You didn't go to hate crime groups and click on Vermont Ku Klux Klan, then click on your county, then click on your chapter leader. I'm like, no, I didn't do that. I never thought to do that. Would you have done that? Okay. So unbeknown to me, 2019, the pressure's coming on. They want to do something about my already approved property. Okay. And at that time, it was berms, the school building, livestock stuff, which is completely exempt under agriculture. And it's just this one permit I had, which was about 30 by 50, which was labeled a schoolhouse. That's where everyone would convene and reconvene for institutionalized education. The academic part of shooting, whether it be tests verbally or written or whatever, it was a state-of-the-art facility, actually. We had touch screens and Bluetoothing from the whiteboard to it was pretty state-of-the-art, and I was pretty proud of it. But so 2019, these folks, they formed an entity called the Warren Switch Klan, right, on legal documents. The Ku Klux Klan members, they filed this, and what they found is, in a legal loophole, is that if one person anywhere can get a certain amount of signatures, they could become, Matt, one abutting individual's rights. I'm going to re-say that. So if this gentleman, Mr. Raymond Duquette, he was the leader of the Warren Switch Klan, if he could get, I think it was, 40, 50 signatures, he would have equal rights as one of my abutting property owners.
Okay.
But
this is after the fact.
Right,
so
right.
What does that matter?
Right, it doesn't. But and none of us, legal team, none of us panicked. None of us went into like a mode of, okay, this is a litigation state, because we're still all in this abyss. Like, how is it? So he got the signatures. He took it to the planning commission. Okay. The planning commission was like, okay, you do have a right now. You have a voice as one person. Remind you, none of the 4 property owners had any qualm.
Right.
They had no beef. No beef. So he got his right. So now he starts his opposition. So he starts his legal battles, right? He brings it into court. Now, a big mockery that helps me in Vermont is that we have the judicial court, Supreme Court, I call it the county or state court for misdemeanors or whatever. Mm-hmm. Vermont also has an environmental court.
Okay.
A whole adjudication process equivalent to or as serious as Supreme Court. Many news, media, publications, podcasts, a lot of people have made a mockery of it because it's somewhat embarrassing. Like, people are like, wow, and Vermont has an environmental court? Like, the whole judicial process you went through, I'm going through currently, they have this process. So they go and they file this paperwork with the Vermont Environmental Court. Like, hey, listen, you gave this permit here to this guy. He built exactly what he built, but listen, do you know they're shooting guns there? They're blowing stuff up, and they were pretty fascinated. The articulation of their exhibits were all factual. Like, hey, how do we have a guy in the community that has an explosives permit? And I had one of the highest. Another thing really pissed them off is that I applied for destructive device. I don't know if you ever heard of it. I had a 203 rocket launcher. I had 2 of them.
Okay.
Right. And they found out about that. They found out about the amount of C4 and Simtex that we legally stockpiled, which wasn't much, but we legally stockpiled it in a mag. So they're presenting all this in a negative context, right? Oh, Big Bad Daniel has guns, he has machine. But in theory, the lawyers and everyone's like, listen, pause. Every box, every dot is dotted, every T is crossed. Like, we're legit.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing everything right.
Right. I have all the correct permits.
Right.
I have all the correct licensing.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely within my rights to have all of this.
100%. But the really fundamental point of all of this is that I'm an American citizen and I have a Second Amendment right. Mm-hmm. Really keep that in your focal point, because as the story goes on, you'll see the diminishing and negating of my constitutional rights. So 2019, things are starting to get really tense, right? The community. And like you said, come up. So now we're like, all right, listen, we got to try a different campaign. We need to win the hearts and minds of these people. Like, these people are just, they're uneducated. I had said to Mr. Hewlett one time, I said, sir, please, you need to get out and see the world. I've been to Connecticut once. Like, how do you work with that?
Right.
How do you promote a paradigm shift? How do you promote sophistication? It's very, very difficult, Matt, very difficult. I'm an educated person. Everyone that I pretty much socialize with is educated. How do you work with that? So we come up with like, listen, we're going to do open houses. We're going to, then we start letting civilians in. Mm-hmm. You're just a regular Joe Blow. You want to come up and shoot at Slate Ridge? Come on up. Like, bring your wife, bring your dog, bring your goat, your elephant. I don't care what you have. Come up, right? Embrace us. What a failure. Because now, like, 5 or 6 black people pull into the gas station. The real Jews are coming, right? The real LGBTQ, like, gays and lesbians are coming. Like, and like, they're coming into the community. The community's just like pulling their hair, like, fuck, Banyai, like, you know what I mean? And so I says, you know what? I said, I'm gonna reach out to the local police. Like, I want to get, now the state police is different, right? Vermont, you call any police, it's 45 to 48 minutes before you're going to get help, right? You're in the middle of nowhere, brother.
Right.
You have to be self-sufficient in a lot of different things, and survival is definitely one of them. So I said, listen, I'm gonna reach out to the police. I look it up. Oh, Chief William Bill Humphreys. Bill, okay. So I call him up, say, Chief, Daniel Bynum, yeah, I heard about you. Now, I'm not in the media yet, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing's even in court yet, right? I call him up and I say, listen, Chief, I would like to invite you to come up to my property someday, and please take a look. I mean, this is for you. I see that you're a 5-officer police department, right? You have two SUVs. Please, okay, I'll let you know. Kind of standoffish, but arrogant. And
because his cousin's probably one of the members of the local, Ku Klux Klan. Oh yeah, and you mouthed off to him
for sure. Yeah. So we had a guy, Mr. Duquette, Senior, down the road that, while I didn't physically see some of the inappropriate, it looked like it, bestiality, and many people would tell me, "Hey, Daniel, we're seeing some stuff off the road, that's going on with these animals," and I'm like, yeah, I apologize for that. Can you use a different road? Don't go by the area. I don't know what's going on there. It seems sexual in nature, seems in a problem. Like, yeah, I'm getting this rhetoric. I'm getting this.
This is from your animals?
No. What? This is from a guy down the road, a farm guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing inappropriate stuff to his animals.
Okay.
So I got a Monday night quarterback that, right? I'm at a tee. Yeah. How do I promote people not to go on the Warren Switch Road, right? That's where this guy and his farm is. It's an embarrassment to me, Matt. It is. It's an embarrassment to me to deal with someone doing sexual inappropriateness, whatever that may be, to their livestock and their animals is an embarrassment to me. I take 100% responsibility to preventing, I don't want to say my patrons because I didn't charge people, but my friends and family and people. You're coming, you jump in with your wife and your kid, your daughter's looking out, and somebody's doing it inappropriate to a cow or a sheep or whatever.
Is this guy doing this to make people feel uncomfortable? Is he
we don't know, but it's sexual in nature, so I do a little research. This is the pretense of this next part here. I do a little research, and all I did was I did a Google, and I typed in crimes of bestiality. Boom, U.S. map shows up, illustrating each state if it's a felony, misdemeanor, or a ticket, an appearance ticket. So I'm like, great. I screenshot this. I sent it to the girl running our social media. Said, post this up everywhere. No commentary, no narrative. Just post this up. Post it up. 2-3 days later, Chief Bill Humphreys, that I invited to come to my property.
Yeah.
Bring. Hello? Hey, Mr. Bonnie, go, no, it's just Daniel. Hey, this is Chief Humphreys. I'd like to come up and get that tour and talk to you about something. Well, great. Come in. I'll tell because we had a gate and a road guard welcoming people in.
Right.
Go to the right. If you're not police, go. Very formal. I said, I'm going to let them know. When would you like to come? He said, I'll come today like 10. Okay, beautiful. So he comes. No, he wasn't all in his uniform. He came in his white Toyota pickup. He didn't even have a pistol on him. He came out, shook his hand. So I give him the tour. And I'm saying, hey, Chief, beyond what do you think? What do you want to talk to me about? He goes, Daniel, the bestiality. And I'm thinking, all right, he's going to talk to me about this. Like, no. He goes, the bestiality post you guys put on Facebook? I said, now it's been a few days or whatever.
Yeah.
We said, yeah. He goes, you got to take that down. It's setting a bad image. I go, a bad image? So you know about it? Well, I go, no. Did you check on Vermont State? It's a misdemeanor. And depending on how serious, it could be elevated to a felony. Like, this is a problem that does affect me. Well, it's not happening on your property. I go, no, Chief, hold on a second now. You're fixing to come here and tell me to take a Facebook post down because it's embarrassing to the Vermonter. It's embarrassing to this community. Ultimately will affect you. But listen, bro, it affects me because I'm fucking embarrassed that people are driving by seeing this inappropriateness, and I gotta back step out of this. No, listen. So, the good angel and the bad angel. I said, you know what, Chief? I'll take it down. You do that? Yeah. I want to be the better guy, Matt, right? I already know some troubles manifesting, right? I said, Chief, I'll take it down. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. So he starts to drive out. Local veteran comes over to me. Vermont has the Mountain Division, which is an elite attachment to the 101st Airborne, which is solid soldiers. I had a lot of them come to my facility, and very prominent soldiers, like good men and women, solid. Okay, I say that about all men, but like I've had a lot of experience with them. Guy comes over to me. He was a sergeant. He goes, Daniel, fuck that guy. I said, oh, Sergeant, you know that guy? He goes, yeah. He goes, fuck that guy. He goes, don't give him any more respect. Don't ever let him hear. I go, Sergeant, what? He goes, listen, boop, 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 boop. Brings it up on his phone. I look, I go, oh my God. He was arrested for giving alcohol to a female minor. No FOIA request, no, just simple Google search. Chief
Right.
William Bill Humphreys giving alcohol to female minor. I'm like, oh my God. Now I have a problem because I'm a good guy, right? I'm not guilty by association with anything yet. Like I'm trying to integrate in this community. So I asked my lawyer. He's like, oh, it's not his first time. He's done it 2 times.
This is the sheriff?
No, the chief of police. The chief of police. Fairhaven, Vermont chief of police.
So this is an appointed position?
Elected.
Elected? Because the sheriffs here are elected.
In my community too, they're elected too.
I think police chiefs are, I think they're appointed, but I could be wrong.
They're all different.
I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah, no, but we can get to the specifics of that for credibility. But so my attorney's like, listen, Daniel, you got to watch out for this guy. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I brought him. He goes, it's okay. Just backpedal out, disconnect from him. The second girl was 16. She actually did her victim's impact statement in my documentary film, which is a whole nother. But so this guy's a chief of police, 2 convictions of giving alcohol to female minors. And now I'm like, my stomach is just like, you see, I'm going with this man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wow, man, like this is, can it get any worse? So I'm just like, okay, I'm disconnecting from him, right? Unless I get pulled over or, there's something specific that I need to integrate with him in my licensing and permitting at the federal level. For federal bonding and federal licensing, it typically goes to the highest level of law enforcement in that community, which is the sheriff. The sheriff is above the chief. Mm-hmm. So I really had very minimal integration with him for anything. And at that point, when I heard about this, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely stepping away from this. Like I told everyone at the facility, don't let any of his officers come here. Don't. Hypothetically, he's dead to us. Like we don't align like that.
Right, and you're lucky because there's no real reason for you to come across this guy.
Right,
he'd have to go out of his way to try and pull you over. Or something like that.
And I want to, I guess, kind of go back for a minute. I know it's really imperative to go chronologically, but when I think when I thought at that moment like about this guy growing up, I was like, listen, police should be upstanding people, educated, sophisticated, but ultimately with no criminal record. Now
you would think.
Now my lawyer,
I think that'd be a problem.
He was really an influx of information because he's like, listen, on the second time, he went on the lam. Like he after the indictment, like he hid for months and months and months until they could foster a better deal. You know what I'm saying? Like he pled out on both of these charges People,
did he get felonies for these?
No.
Okay, so they pled him down to misdemeanors.
Yeah, they pled him down.
So he keeps his job.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Like a lot of people like Daniel don't perseverate on the charge, perseverate or advocate on the pleading. I'm like, no. Because when I was in incarceration, whatever you were charged with is what the focal point of you're a criminal at that, bank robber, murder, or whatever. Okay. So I'm going to stay with this. He gave alcohol to a female minor. Yeah, he pled out to XYZ, but let's not forget what he did. You know what I mean? So my attorneys had told me that, and they're like, listen, they would send me stuff. So every year Vermont does the worst police departments, the most corrupt. This guy always scores number 2. Like, I mean, it's just such a pompous, and he's still a police officer. Right. That's a whole, and a chief of police. Now, the highest level, community-wise.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta watch out for this guy. I gotta kind of just. I tell everyone, listen, be conscientious. So 2019, things are getting a little bit more tense now. Now the first court filing comes. Right, we're in environmental court, and they're arbitrating the validity of my building permit. So I'm like, if I got pulled over, like if I forgot my license, I got pulled over, the cop said license and registration, he'd give me a ticket for no license, but then I would go and show my license.
Yeah.
That's the ideology I had behind this court. My lawyer's like, listen, we'll walk right into court, show him the permit. Here's a permit.
Right.
You built this building with the exact specifications.
Right. And even if this guy now has the right to be notified, it doesn't reverse time.
No.
At the time, I notified everybody that was needed to be notified.
Right. And this level of hate, the racism, and all the other characteristics of how bad I had and how deep it got was a product of, and I'm going to man up, say it, me pushing the envelope for equality, fairness, neutrality, etc. As I said earlier, growing up in Poughkeepsie, Curtis, black guy, best friend. Chiron, best friend. This lady, Teresa, down the road, lesbian, great friend. Like, I didn't have hate. Hate wasn't in me. I didn't see the color. I didn't see until this really bizarre discrimination in Vermont. Like, one of the things I see wherever I am, I could be at an airport, I could be Vermont pitches a model that we're pro guns. We're Second Amendment, and we love the LGBTQ plus. But I really believe they say that they're that model for you to say, if you're in one of those marginalized communities or one of those groups, you say, okay, well, let's say I'm a gay gun guy.
Right.
Well, there's Vermont or California. All right, I'll take California.
Right.
Because if they said they were anti, that gay guy with a gun might go there just to be a crutch in their behind. You know what I mean? So they're really smart in the sense of modeling, hey, you're welcome here, but you're not really welcomed here.
Right.
Okay. So 2020, it's get files. We go to court, and I'm still not like stressed. I'm developing the property. I apply for another permit to put up a tiny home. I get that approval, 1, 2, 3. I build that tiny home. I'm still developing the land. I build more ranges. I build a maritime range. Piracy was getting big off the Horn of Africa. So where could a person train where it's slippery? So I bought gangways and catwalks and Conex containers. And, I'm bringing people in. Like, if you're on a ship and there's a lot of crashing waves, like I'm developing a real world facility for people to train with a gun. And I'm just kicking away. Like, all this stuff's going on in the background. So now the Warren Switch clan is getting, they're getting signatures. They're getting more
traction.
They're getting money for lawyers. They're presenting to the court. So I'm like, wow, there's always got to be one successful individual, whether it be at a political level or government level. I'm sure you've experienced that in your 56 years of life. There's always one person somewhere that really has the key or the switch to flip to make things be successful. And I find out it's a town councilman, Ed Cleveland. He's publicizing his Ku Klux Klan affiliation. So my PR people are like, great, this is the break, Daniel. Now, none of us know, because from New York, Did I know racist people? Yeah, but they were like back in the 80s and 90s where gays were. They were in the closet. They were
right.
They didn't put their garb on until they got to the meeting. They didn't verbally associate themselves with a hate group in public.
Right.
That's the model I grew up on. Yeah, you know, Cletus down the road was a member of the Klan. Okay, but Cletus is not out at the local shop starting stuff with people of color, right? He does it when he's with his boys, right? Here in Vermont, they're just publicly. It's out in the open. So we get this break about Ed Cleveland. So I contact Fox News. I knew a producer there, Stephanie. She's like, yeah, right. COVID starting, like I'm coming right up. Like she comes up with someone and a guy that was her security. I happen to know him from the world of security. And she's like, Daniel, I hope this. And I said, listen, I promise you, you have no idea how arrogant these people are. It's December 16th, 2019, public meeting about me. Mm-hmm. Packed, Matt, packed. My turn to speak. I stand up and I said, Mr. Cleveland, is it true, I'm quoting verbatim, is it true you go to Ku Klux Klan meetings against me and my kind? He stands up, he goes, yes, I do. Stephanie jumps up with her filming. Yeah, we're all like, but no one in the crowd is moving. No one's even batting an eye.
Right.
Because it's normal to them.
Because they're okay with it.
That's fine with them. It was a failure, right? I asked for his resignation. No, other medias, no one picked this story up in a negative way. Oh, well, there seems to be a little bit of a qualm with the Klan members. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a major qualm. This is a major qualm. Unfortunately, the context of their prejudice to me, because they thought I was a Jew, they'd always call me a
right.
And I'd be like, listen, why don't you call me a shitty Christian or
right.
whatever? Like the religious part that you're trying to hurt me in is not hurting me.
Right.
You know what I mean? The better you say I'm fat or I'm ugly or I got a small dick or, the saying I'm a is you're ineffective because I'm not
it's
Jewish.
Like it's like saying, you're a Christian. No, you're a Catholic. No, you're a Protestant.
Right.
I don't really give a fuck about any of it. You can say whatever you want. Right. Like none of those are hard. None of those are. If you said I was Jewish, I said, okay, well I'm not, but that's fine.
Right. They're just they're dumb. Like, So we go out. She's like, I'm going back to Manhattan. I'm going to edit. I'm going to get this guy. And really, it didn't go anywhere because it's not really a big deal. It's not a big deal in my community or Vermont for that matter. Like, that's the new normal.
When I was growing up, and they would talk about racism and stuff like that, like, it was very minor. This is when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, up to the age of 20, 25, it was not, like, it wasn't something that came up a lot. Now, it's everywhere.
Right.
Like, now there's more divisiveness and more racism than I was ever a party to when I was growing up. When I was growing up, if you'd said, would there be any racism in 20 years or 30 years, I'd probably been like, well, no, because there's barely any racism now. And where I grew up, I grew up upper middle class, and so I just didn't, see it that much. But now, and I feel like it's social media. It allows you to become so polarized and create such a group of like-minded individuals that it's no longer that big of a stigma because you can build an entire group around you that it becomes normal.
Right.
And so you're not worried about not saying something, right? And it seems like in that area, not that I think these people are necessarily socially or social media savvy, but maybe they are. Maybe they're on TikTok. But it seems like this entire area is okay with this, is what you're saying. They're so okay with it. But see, I feel like in the 90s, it would have been, they would not have been okay with it. Like, it would have been like, this is insane because you just didn't hear. Do you remember David Duke?
Of course, yes.
It was insane that like the media just destroyed this guy because he was trying to run for Congress.
Right.
And it would never happen. You would never you would never say those things.
Right.
That you were a member of this or a member of that. You would never say that. And now you're saying that, no, this guy's openly saying, I'm a member of the Klan. I've been in the meetings.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Like, I want your vote.
And that's eccentric for me because I don't know do you remember Tawana Brawley? You remember that case in New York? Well, I grew up with that. It was a major division between blacks and whites. I didn't go to public school then, but I played on a CYO basketball team, which I was the only white kid. You know, this horrible situation, which I'm not going to go into it, but it divided the state of New York. It destroyed. It made national news. This Tawana Broy situation, and a lot of my colored friends were like, "Listen, Daniel," I'm like, "No, we're good, bro. Like, I don't see this division." No, yeah, you can see it because it's being polarized, but I'm not feeling this division. Listen, you're my brother. We break bread together. I go to your home, you come to my home. We're family. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to let some terminology, some lack of sophisticated division interfere us. I love you, you love me, right? And move on. And that helped, I think, being in a diversification, being even when, you know, the short stint I had in the military, even when I was in prison, I didn't look at, well, I'm going to stay away from the colored people. I'm going to stay away from the Hispanics. I'm going to stay away from the Asians. Like, I had integrated with them my entire life. That was normal for me, not the new normal for the haters.
Yeah. No,
right?
It's not working for you now.
Right.
Not working for you in this environment. It's working against you.
Yeah. So, this Fox thing
falls flat.
Well, yeah, it falls flat. But you know, they did a small segment, and I take a lot of pride, and I think it's very beneficial to me. There was 2.3 million comments.
Okay.
Of a short little Fox News thing, and I'm using data, historical data that was aggregated at this time. Now it's like the end of 2020, 2021. Vermont only had 622,000 people. It's a small state.
Yeah.
Okay. Fox News developed 2.3 million comments. Like, I'm going to say more than 80% of them were positive. Now the story comes out, people are seeing the ins and outs of this. And I was like, listen, this response, right, Matt? This response, people taking the time to write something, was 3 times the population of my state. So even if this state hates me, fuck them. There's millions and millions of people on the earth, the country, United States of America, that might have a morsel of fairness under the Constitution. We're talking about our Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, but are they on the? Do they vote in Vermont, and are they on the Planning Commission?
No. But it was
Zoning Commission.
It was a motivational factor to me to continue the fight and carry on. And you know, now we're getting in this story. Major news, New York Times, the Boston Globe, like big people are coming to interview.
They are picking it up.
Oh yeah, now it's getting picked up.
I thought you.
No, this is the beginning. Fox News
said it just kind of died.
No.
I didn't know it picked up.
Yeah, it died in the sense of popularity, but it was still in mainstream America, you know, and print mostly. So the attorney that is adjudicating this process, her name is Attorney Merrill Bent. Merrill Bent Bianchi, her husband is Jared Bianchi. He's a state attorney general prosecutor. She gets on the case, and when we hope and feel neutrality or fairness, for lack of better words, we find out her law partner, Rob Wilmington, he owns the largest, he's executor, he's executor of the largest media exposure in Vermont.
Okay.
So attorney has affiliations and involved in law. So they begin to they begin their new narrative, right? They give client protected information to this media publication. They're called Vermont Digger. They're the largest in the state of Vermont at this current time. The owner of the Boston Globe is buying up stuff, but moral of the story is that they control the media, print, radio, online. Make sense? So they're spinning this narrative. Like, first they started with gunfighter, you know, and that didn't stick. Then they started with militia member. And then some of the Vermonters got smart enough to say, wait a minute, a militia is in the Constitution. It says well-regulated militia. Right. Although I'm not affiliated with the militia, I let the Vermont State Militia train at my facility because when they showed up, there were people that were black, there were people that was Asian, there was gay people, straight people, and they were actually, they had a nice piece in the New York Times in favor of me. They were like, listen, we went to a lot of training facilities and they wouldn't let us train there. Daniel let us train, and these are I asked them if they're religious. I asked them if they have hate in their blood, and they said no, and I let them train there. So this media starts a really, really negative narrative. I mean, negative in the context like I was the homecoming king. They went and found the girl. There was a homecoming queen and interviewed her. Was Daniel bad then? And they went to my ex-wife, and and they went above and beyond to set a narrative that they've been so successful on. They've been so successful on slandering me, where in public, I got to be careful. People want to fight me. There's always a verbal confrontation. People want to challenge me. And that was by design, and really how they prefaced it, the beginning of winning criminally, right? Winning civilly, motivating justices, motivating attorney generals, they had this insight, right? I mean, think about if one source said something negative, every publication about you, you're winning the hearts and minds of those people to accept that narrative. Make sense?
Right.
I've seen stuff about you. It's two different ways. But the reality of it is that it lacked credibility. You know what I mean?
Credibility it doesn't mean all that much nowadays.
No, but let's go back to and this is going to hurt the Vermonters that are listening, but let's go back to them, right? They're not educated.
Right.
They're not sophisticated. They're drinking the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones that ran out and got triple vaccinated.
Right.
They're the ones that hate Donald Trump. They're the ones that want immigrants, even that are committing heinous crimes in their community. They're not smart people. They're not
right.
they're not intellectually attuned with reality.
Yeah, they're following. Yeah, they're drinking. Like you said, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. They're
right.
following whatever the media tells them.
Right. And that was a problem for me, because slowly but surely, like I had some of the top lawyers in the state. I don't know how you call them down here, but the heavy hitters, the top 5 that are adjudicating federally all different crimes.
Right.
They're big names that are on my case. They're like, listen, Judge Durkin read that article about you. You don't think that he's going to remember all that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, that's a problem here. Like, we're fighting an endless battle, because no matter that you have that valid permit, Daniel, this judge and these judges and this adjudication process has read a smeared, negative rhetoric campaign about you.
Right.
It's going to hurt you.
Okay.
It's going to hurt you. Public relations people came in like, some media is good, some media is bad. I'm sure you've heard that term before. So what do we do? But the cat's out of the bag. You know what I mean? This attorney, Miss Merrill Bent, and her law partner, they played a very well card. They went straight to the media, obviously because he's involved with that group, and gave very client protected information, which some of it was factual and some of it was smeared, but added such a negative flair because they were anti-gun people.
Right.
They're registered Democrats. They're just they're very prominent about that. But the underlining issue was no guns, no guns. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot had to do with that. I opened up this gun training facility, but the gun alone was the fuel for the fire, right? It's like predators. People just hear they hate them, and that fuels their fire, right?
Yeah.
To be vigilante justice or vigilante actors. That was their ideology, and it prevailed because we had a long, exacerbating, all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court case about my valid building permit, and we lost. The judge said on the 4th page, second paragraph, the 17th line, while Mr. Banyai had a valid building permit, I, Judge Durkin, voided it. And when that came out,
So it's like I'm living in my house. I've been here 5 years, and a judge says, "Oh, they didn't have a permit to build. You didn't have your permit to build that house is now
null and void.
Null and void.
Null and void.
Tear your house down."
Right.
Go fuck
Right.
yourself.
So,
what are you talking about?
So they used the term clawed back. So when that came out, there was one. Try to feel this emotionally for a moment. There was a part of me that was 50% happy, like, okay, finally, people believed me. I had a building permit. And circling back is that did I read 1,000 posts on that Fox News thing? Probably. But I read one, this lady in a negative. I didn't read the positives. I wanted to focus on the negative. This one lady was like, what town still does a building permit that's not printed? And I actually responded to that one. I go, my town, Paulette, Vermont, 0505775 is a zip code. I go, you get a piece of paper on a clipboard, you fill it out and you hand it in. There's not computerized. There's no timestamps. There's none of that stuff here. And that reality, this city slicker or whatever, was arbitrating like, oh, it's probably bullshit. It's, he probably made that up. But you see what I'm saying? Like it's that's the antiquated technology we're living in the 21st century. Who does that, right? I mean, everything is done online and there's screenshots. But anyways, so the me showing people that formed, I would want to argue that almost none of them believed it. But then the judge validated, but then he said, I voided it. And then the terms and conditions of voiding it. He should have known the building administrator did not have the authority. My attorney was like, what are you talking about? The guy came. Was Daniel supposed to say flash a badge? Mm-hmm. Was Daniel supposed to see, let me see your, the guy shows up. I'm the zoning administrator. Here's your permit signed off. I handed him the money, $455. He took it. He gave me a receipt from the state, from the town, from the county. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
He had no authority to issue that permit. Mr. Banyai should have known there was a credibility and authenticity issue with that permit. Really? I was, boo, we're going to start building.
All right.
Are you out of your mind? This Judge Thomas Durkin he's gone now, but he made it so difficult from a legal perspective all the way to a reality perspective in the scenario of reality to really understand and articulate what the next processes are. And he outlined that kind of like in the sentencing, like a few months later, he's like, okay, number one, the property at 541 Briar Hill Road is permanently banned from using firearms.
I've been using Mando's whole body deodorant, and let me tell you, you can use it anywhere. Pits, balls, thighs, and even your feet. Mando's powered by mandelic acid, so it stops odor before it even starts. It blocks odor all day. I'm talking 72 hours. I love the scents too. My favorite is bourbon leather. It smells amazing. You can choose from other fresh options like Cloverwood and Mount Fuji. And the best part, no baking soda, no parabens, just clean, safe deodorant for your whole body. I've added Mando to my daily routine, and honestly, I feel fresher and more confident. It works way better than just showering alone. Use promo code COX at shopmando.com to get 20% off plus free shipping. Once again, that's promo code COX at shopmando.com.
That's constitutionally inapplicable. You cannot say Matt's property, he can't do woodworking there. He's like, it's going to be deeded into the title, no firearms usage. My attorneys are like, wait, what? Like, okay, keep it going. He will remove the structures unpermitted. So he goes down this list, right? I had a chicken coop, right? In the front of the chicken coop, I had someone, a local woods person, make the letter SR, Slate Ridge. I put it up on the chicken coop, right? The judge goes, the chicken coop had that sign, SR, on it, and it had a reticle. Do you know what a reticle is? Mm-mm. Okay, it's the part that's in the scope of the lines that you align up your target with.
Okay.
He goes, that simulates a target. The chicken coop has to be taken down.
Okay.
Then he goes to my goat shack. The goat shack has similarities to gun-related similarities. That has to be taken down. He goes to my grain silo. You know what grain silos are?
Yeah.
Okay. The grain silo says corn on it for my cattle. The corn in there can be made into making bombs. Now, I already have an explosive license. If I wanted to make a bomb, I would use what is already federally licensed to me.
Right.
You can't get any better than plastic explosives. C4, Simtech. Right. We had to take that down. So he just went down the list. And then I had a goat milking parlor, which we'd milk the goats and stuff in. And we had 2 lanterns on the front. The judge wrote. Now, this is the judge sitting, articulating all of this in his motions, his decisions. The goat milking parlor has 2 lanterns that have similarity in architectural qualities of the lanterns that are on the school building. That's got to be demolished. He keeps going on and on and on.
He's finding anything to tie in with the original permit to destroy the entire, take everything down.
So, the order comes, and goes. It's like 2022 now.
Do you appeal it?
We appealed it at the U.S. Supreme Court. We lost. We lost. Yeah. We lost, man. Yeah. We went to the New York Second Circuit District, and we went all, it couldn't go any higher. We appealed everything. I had some shitty attorneys and I had some good attorneys. I believe they tried their best. I know they worked hard. They cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the moral of the story is that I pushed the wrong buttons. I did that. Are you ready to fight City Hall? I was that guy. Only on the premise of that it's constitutionally protected.
Right.
Like my lawyers argue, like, look at the school building, right? Why has it got to come down? He could put a church there. He could have Alcoholics Anonymous meetings there. Like, it is constitutionally protected to convene and reconvene in an area, irregardless of the structure classification, irregardless of the identification of what you're calling it a school building for gun-affiliated training. He could change that. We could move the building. Like, we had a company come in and say, okay, we could pick the building up and move it. The judge was like, no. Like, everything has got to go. So I said no. Right off the bat, state Republican officials, everyone was on Instagram and media. Listen, while you might not like Daniel, what happened to him could happen to you. Imagine you apply for a permit to put a deck on. You piss your neighbors off. You piss the Klan off. You piss someone off. They claw back your permit. 1 year, 10 years, 15 years later, you got to take your deck down. It's not. It should hurt the hearts and minds of every American citizen.
Right.
It really should, because it's not the process. And the process is no different than how I argued it when I had my time to speak. I said, listen, when I was 16 years old, I went to a driver's license. I did a written test. I did a driving test, and I got my license. The whole purpose of licensing and permitting is the accreditation to say, I got it, time to move on, right? How can you say 1 year, 2 year, 5? It ended up to be almost 4 years later. You're saying no. And now you want me to take $1.6 million of infrastructure down. Like, literally.
Right.
You remember, I started building in 2013. It's 2020, 2021 now. And now all of this infrastructure, berms, buildings, everything gone. So I said no. So the judge found me in contempt of court. Warrant goes out for my arrest. Immediately. I go from law-abiding citizen to criminal. Right? All news media. Slate Ridge owner, Daniel Banyai is a warrant. I'm put up as a fugitive, state most wanted, all these billboards, everyone, newscasters are flying drones, helicopters. The warrant's out for my arrest for zoning violation.
Right.
It's a civil warrant now. Okay, it's a civil warrant. It's not criminal. It's civil. I have contempt of court in the civil division. It has to be a heavy preface on that, because that was kind of the factor that helped me relieve some pressure from, remember, I'm teaching law enforcement. I'm teaching government agencies. I'm teaching government attachés and military people. But the warrant, a picture of me, then all the people start, the dead or alive, and we're going to go get them and all that stuff. But I'm at my property the entire time. Just chilling.
Right.
So about 2 months go into it, and they go up to the sheriff, and I have a lot of respect for the sheriff, because they go up to the sheriff, and he didn't know it was an open mic. One of the news people baited him, and they said, listen, sheriff, what, are you going up there? Are you going to get him? And the sheriff's like, listen, you know what that guy's done for his entire life? He's a professional gunfighter. He's like, do you really think we're going to go up there and have like a Ruby Ridge?
Right.
He's like, no, we're not going up there. We'll wait till someday he's going to have to come out of there, and we'll get him when he comes out. But we're not going up there. That attorney, Meryl Bianchi, her and her husband, they took him to court and started to have sanctions against him to fine him $200 a day until he captures me. He's like, no. Have you looked at his pedigree? Have you looked at what's up there?
Right.
Like, no. My sheriff's department, this county, and by the almighty grace of God, we're not doing this. So they go off him, they go to the state police. State police commandant gets on TV, and he's like, well, we'll stop by, but we've been up there.
Yeah.
We've seen his pedigree. We see helicopters, and no, we're going to kind of model what the sheriff says.
Yeah.
He can't stay up there forever. He'll come down someday. We'll get him. And
are you coming down? Or are you just hanging out there?
Oh yeah, I come not regularly.
Yeah, you drive down, you get gas.
Yeah,
you
I
to
go
the
into the
store.
community. Yeah, I'm cautious, Matt.
Yeah. But you're not manning the bunkers.
No, nobody's
with
manning
50 cows.
No, nobody's manning the bunkers.
What are the things they put in the ground that they trigger and blow up? You don't have the place booby trapped.
Yeah. So Claymore mines are
Claymore
called.
mines.
Yeah. So no. I'm going about my life as normal. Right. Just in the mindset that, hey, listen, there's a civil warrant out. My lawyers are like, listen, if you can congregate, frolic, and do your business in another state, New York or somewhere else, it's a non-extraditable warrant. So if you get stopped, there may be 10 minutes of inconvenience, but Vermont's not, they'll have to do a governor's warrant. U.S. Marshals are going to have to come. No. Just stay conscientious in Vermont. So, there's a lot of pressure right now from both sides. There are now people and farmers and civilians that I think have got a little bit better mindset. Like, well, wait a minute. Like, I don't like you because you like guns and you like blacks and you like this and that, but you had a valid permit.
Right.
And this judge, Thomas Durkin, took it away.
Just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's just like...
He's just corrupt. I mean, obviously
he's corrupt.
It's corruption. I mean,
right.
What time? What point are we at? Is this 2024?
This is 2022.
Oh, this is 2022. Okay.
Yeah, 2022. So now I take this opportunity. I'm like, okay, listen, you want to make me to be the bad guy? I'm going to show you the bad guy, right? So Robert Kraft, right? Owner of the Patriots.
Okay.
His best friend is Lee Machensky, right? Lee Machensky is in my community as he's like our real estate mogul. He owns the most amount of land. He owns all the buildings, et cetera. So my attorney calls me one night. He goes, Daniel, you see what happened down in Coral Springs, Florida? I said, no, what happened? He goes, oh, Lee got busted with Robert Kraft in a prostitution ring. You gotta be kidding me. He goes, no, look at it. So this guy from my community that's brushing shoulders with Robert Kraft is down in Coral Springs, Florida at a rub and tug, and they get busted. It's a whole FBI. It was a big ordeal. I happen to know at that time the female agent in charge, which I had reached out to, and now this comes into my purview. Like, wow, here's another shitbag in my community, right? So the moral of the story is that this guy in my community, which is bad, right? And why I'm saying that is that people are online, they're saying, life sentence for Daniel for this zoning violation, right? We haven't got to I'm in prison yet. So it should be like 25 to life. People are saying all this crazy stuff, right? About a zoning violation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, listen, I'm going to expose the real bad actors in my community. So I get all the information and we put it. So this guy was having intercourse with 17-year-old traffic Asians that were they had shackles on their ankle to the wall.
Oh, shit.
So you Google him down here, and down here, they spell it out. They say what a shitbag this guy is. But you look at the media in Vermont, they're like, oh, every woman has a right to do what they want with their body. And then Daniel Banyai chimes in, no, she was ankle shackled to the wall. Like, fuck that.
Right.
These young Asian girls, and 17, they were in traffic. So I show them.
Yeah, they'll bring them in. They owe money. They work at the massage parlor until they work off the price of being shipped over in a shipping container.
Yeah.
They work there for 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years to work that off, and then they can be released into the community.
So I start to pontificate all of these actions. It's making the community, which you have to understand, in my community, 622 full-time residents. They say 1,200, but everyone owns 2 pieces of property, so that's how they get to 1,200. But let's just say 650 souls in my community, which is not a lot of people.
Right.
No black police officers, no people of color, very, very small amount of female officers, no Jews, no this, no that. Okay? So keep all this in mind. So I put this out, and the community is just like, well, he didn't do it in our area, Daniel. You did a zoning violation in our area, you son of a bitch. You monster. I'm like, but Lee, he had intercourse. Like,
yeah, no. Well,
so I'm showing this model, right, of what a real bad person is. But the local people are like, no, that's not really a bad person. I'm like, really? I'm like, they literally in their soul equated my deviance, my insubordination. People love to say that word, right? Even my attorney still to this day, yeah, you're so insubordinate. It's okay. Wait till you apply for something in Vermont, because you're a Vermont shitbag too. Wait till you apply for something in Vermont and someone calls to call accountability on you for representing me and you get your building permit retracted. Let's see how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to paint these pictures. I'm trying to show this and make credibility, right? Bring the reality of what's happening to me in comparison to what's happened to others. Like people are they're morons, right? They're just, so there's like a 1-year campaign of that. I'm doing a little filming for this documentary. We're going around, we're pointing out people. And my lawyers come to me like, listen, the warrant is only good for, I forget how many days. It wasn't a full year. I think it was like 180 days or something. So like the warrant's coming up and they'll have to reapply for it. So let me work all the bugs out, completely get you out of the NCIC, get you out of all the systems so that you can start to really frolic in the community as you should be without a warrant. Make sense? So that process goes through. So now I'm no longer a wanted man, making everyone miserable, right? Everyone's mad. They're working on getting the warrant put back in place, but now I'm out in the public now, right? I'm going to meetings again, and I go to my select board meeting, and one of the individuals that had made a major movement of anti-gun is Mr. Richard Hewlett, one of those guys that originally told me to take my gate down.
Yeah.
And he's trying to demean me about me being a zoning violator. And I'm like, listen, my lawyers told me that you and your father defrauded the state of Vermont in the largest agriculture fraud in the history of the state, watering down milk. Your dad did 10 years in federal prison. You had to pay a $250. Like, this is madness that you have the audacity to say that I'm this bad guy,
right,
for getting a valid building permit, building it, and now refusing to take it down. Like, I don't know your position on that, but can you see how disconnected that is?
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know. And I'm sure there are people that do that would go and just say, F you to the entire legal process of building, but you'd be setting yourself up for complete failure, right? I mean, that makes no sense to not do that. I'm grateful that never came into my universe, but I thought I did everything right. I did everything right by paper, and I'm held to like this, like really ridiculous criminal position, right? Like literally people are like, I'm in the supermarket, like, fucking criminal. And I'm like, but I'm dealing with like real criminals. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, here's another thing. Our town board accepted, I don't know how the levels work here, but it's a level 3 file. And we accepted this guy to come on the town board. And when I called the town's attention, like, you're saying I'm bad, how could, like, oh, well, Daniel, we didn't do the election process for him because no one would vote for him. We just appointed him. I'm like, but can't you see, man, like that's a real criminal.
Right.
Like anyone can Google him. It says how far he's got to stay away from children, schools, but he's on our board as an authoritarian. You're saying I'm a bad guy for building a building with a valid building permit and refuse to take it down? Like, come on. Like, do you see that?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Okay. It really has to be in people's, because it's a complete disconnect, right? So we go back to another meeting, and I was filming that day, and the producer, it was a large team, right? Everyone. And it was interesting that day because they were all anti-gun people, the filming crew.
Right.
And the grip, I sensed it was bad energy with him, right? But that day, the grip, the guy that holds his title is grip for
the boom
guy, whatever. Yeah, I felt some tension because he didn't make he was a very anti-gun guy.
Yeah.
But he says to me that night, he goes, Daniel, he goes, I really didn't look at you in a positive light. He goes, I was actually kind of contemplating even taking this assignment. He goes, but I haven't been anywhere on this earth as I've been in this town to feel the hate and how these people, how fucked up they are. He goes, I was completely against you. He goes, I'm all more than ever for you right now. He goes, because I can't believe the manifestation of hate. He goes, I don't like guns, but it's your constitutional right to have guns. And these people And he's already been privy to the to the criminology. These people are criminals, right? Felonies, pedophilia, fraud. You're nowhere near that. And I'm like, thank you, man. And it was a little inspiring. But basically that day, what I was doing is I had gotten a copy of, it's essentially the manual of how to run the town, bylaws, Robert's laws for the quorum of meetings. And I had it bound, like really nice bound by a bookmaker. And, normally you just print it online. And I brought it in and I wanted to challenge the authenticity of these meetings, the favoritism, the nepotism, and the corruption. And the meeting got very toxic. They threw me out. And unbeknown to me, an individual was coming behind me to grab my neck like this. Now, a guy in the front line jumped up with his cane and blocked him. So I was like, oh, so I dropped my book. I get my hands, I'm like, oh, I don't want to, I'm a gunfighter, not a fist fighter.
All right.
I don't want to get my ass beat up. So I look and it was like a police officer.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, you need to say police, stop in the name of the law. You really? You going to grab my neck? So he's like, you got to leave. And I'm like, listen, man, that's very dangerous. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're going to put your hands on someone, there has to be an introduction. Because I really thought I was going to get attacked. And if it wasn't for this guy, you could see it. It's a public meeting. You could Google it. If that guy didn't block you with his cane, you probably would have grabbed my neck and we could have been in a tussle. No, stop, please.
Right. I don't know who you are.
Right.
I don't know that you're not just some guy attacking me unless you notify me that you're a police officer.
Right. Or how about a little bit different hands-on approach? Go for the back of my neck?
Right.
Like, what planet are you living on? So we leave, and the next day, my attorney's getting inundated by media, and he says, Daniel, do you know who that guy was? I said, no. I mean, it's the first time I've ever seen that man in my life. Nevertheless, in a uniform. He goes, go to your inbox. Oh my God. I'm like, Matt, this police officer name is Thomas Gavino. He's been arrested 4 times for DWI. 1 burglary charge as a police officer and 2 TRO. 1 TRO and 1 PRO. So TRO is temporary restraining order and 1 is a permanent restraining order. Now, in those orders, it's domestic violence abuse or some issue with a family member. On both of those, the boxes are checked, firearms relinquishment. You have to surrender your firearms. While you're under an order of protection, because I've had one on me from a tenant, you have to surrender your guns. You're no longer eligible. You are now a disqualified person to possess a firearm.
Right.
Are you tracking this?
Yeah.
He's a police officer.
Yeah.
So my attorney sends me all this. He goes, Daniel, this is a very bad person. And I'm like, how? How is this guy still a cop? Listen, remember the chief? That's his buddy. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, the inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, listen, this in law enforcement and in society, moral turpitude, moral compasses, like this is not the person, right? And for me, I'm like, how are you police? How are you an authoritarian of the law with such a record and as a police officer? Like, it may not be eccentric to you because people always come to me, you're taking it too seriously, Daniel. This is mainstream media. This is mainstream society. Like, this is happening everywhere. I'm like, but it's never happened to me. I know a handful of cops that I like and respect. They're all straight shooters. Mm-hmm. No criminal records, some college degree. Fair and morally aligned. Maybe you're smoking a joint before marijuana, and they'll just tell you, throw it out and let you go. Like, they're not making a huge crime case out of it, like we were talking about earlier. You know what I mean? But then you got these people, right, that are...
They should not be in a position of authority, and they should not be in a position where they're handling weapons or they're in control over anyone, really. They're just not.
Literally.
You see these guys on TikTok, the officers that lose it, like they they're yelling and screaming. They're getting into arguments and fights with people. They're not trying to de-escalate the situation at all. And you're like, this guy, he shouldn't be a cop. Like
right. Listen, do I capitalize on that? Yes. I mean, because it's a component of my case. It's a chapter in this book, in this scenario, and it's also a deficit for folks like myself and folks that are like-minded in the sense that I don't believe an individual should be qualified after the first DWI. I have a friend that had a DWI, ruined him. Financially, his marriage, it's a disaster. How do you get 4? How do you get a burglary charge? I mean, and the biggest thing is that how do you have a gun in your holster when the courts have deemed you to surrender that?
Right.
And that's a big problem because it's like, do as thee, or what is it saying? Do as thee, but not for me, or, good for the goose, not like it's favoritism there, right? Then that component is definitely predicated on favoritism, nepotism, corruption, which has been the bane of my existence. Like I have a problem with that. So we're still navigating. The warrant comes back into place now. They've done the process. The warrant comes back in. So now society's going crazy again. The media's picking it up. Everyone's hemming and hawing. We got to get them this time. Bring in choppers. The governor goes on TV and he goes, "We're dealing with the most dangerous man in the state of Vermont." And my lawyers are like, "Wait a minute, like." We at that time we had the largest pedophilia case by a Vermont state trooper. Dozens of children, young as 7, horrific. Like they outline everything. They gave him 2 years probation.
Right.
So it's like my attorneys are listing all these things, and they're like, "He's the most dangerous." Like, come on, man. Like this is ludicrous. Like this is just, the pressure's getting more, and I'm continuing life. I've got a facility I'm running. I've got a farm. I've got over 300 animals there. I'm embracing people. I'm embracing different religions, cultures, and I'm just going on. And one day me and another guy, we were going to get some his greenhouse, a pipe broke, and we were going to get some pipes. And this gentleman is a real Jew. Like, he set me up with one of the largest foundations. It's called the Brodsky Foundation. They practice Judaism. They were the biggest financial supporter for my legal case. I would imagine they've donated over $250,000. Them and the Vermont LGBTQ plus groups, which didn't like me, it's so hilarious, right?
Yeah.
They didn't like me, donated hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I can't speak specifically for both those groups, but I can tell you that the gays and lesbians that wanted to go to the farmer's market would say, "Can we pick you up, Daniel?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." Right. And they could go to the market because no one would mess with them. You know what I mean? And I had told them, I'm like, "Listen, homosexuality is a sin in my religion. Love has no logic, but you want to go to the farmer's market? No problem. Pick me up. Nobody's going to mess with you. Normally they say f*** and I'm like, no, pick me up. I'll get some stuff too.
Yeah, we'll jump in your Subaru and we'll head over there.
Yeah, they're Prius, you know what I mean? I got to take up the whole back. I'm weighed like 289 pounds at the time, but same thing with the Jews. Like, "Oh, we want to go down." I'm like, "No problem, pick me up." Your kids want to go to the dance class. They said, "No here, pick me up."
Right.
I'll go. I'm interested in ballerina stuff. Right. I'll sit right there. So the two groups, these marginalized groups, which a lot of organizations have talked about, especially the groups that don't like me, like both of them, I don't want to say they're anti-gun, but they don't favor firearms. Yeah. But when we went to the farmer's market, I had like 2 guns in my waistband. Right. So bring it. You know what I mean? So this gentleman was in the New Yorker, and they found him out somehow about his donations. Yeah. So the New Yorker did a huge story on him. And this guy is like a billionaire. Like a few weeks before the New Yorker article came out, he sold like a $500 million piece of property in Manhattan. So, the media they sensationalize it. Like they editorialize it in this way. So, but he was already a Jewish individual with a wife and kids in the community that they were picking on. Mm-hmm. So that cop on his the cop that pulled us over, his name is Thomas Cavino, he had put the article about this guy named David Brodsky on his Facebook page.
So real quick, isn't it funny, when I grew up, like one of the worst things you could be was an anti-Semite. And now the media, everybody, they're all anti-Semites. They just love to fucking hate Jews now. It's just it's a great thing if you hate Israel and you want to talk bad about Israel and Jews and it's just let's write an article, let's embrace this.
Yeah.
30 years ago, the worst thing you could do is say.
I know. I mean, the times have changed in a negative context. That
I'm honestly waiting for them to start to take the fact of the Holocaust out of fucking out of history books. Yeah. No, there wasn't 6 million. There's no way to prove that. We don't know that any Jews were killed during the Holocaust. I mean, listen, 10 years from now, there may not have been a Holocaust.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I have a personal appreciation, affiliation with Judaism. I'm a Seventh Adventist. I don't know if you know anything about that faith. As a theologian myself, Muslims, Jews, and myself are all the same. We don't eat pork. We don't drink alcohol. We keep the Sabbath. So I have a certain love for them above and beyond the negative rhetoric about them.
I just can't get anything behind anything that discriminates against bacon.
Right.
I just can't. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You don't have to eat it. That's fine.
We'll agree to disagree. You know, so this guy David and I, we're traveling on the road, and Constable, his Thomas Cavino, he's a constable. He drives by and he saw Dave because he had already been pulling Dave over because of the article, right? So he's like, oh, this guy, he's got money, he's a Jew, so he's on the radar. Let's just face it, okay? So and then he sees a guy, big bearded guy, got my hood up. So he pulls us over, and he starts talking to Dave. I'm gonna keep this part of it real short because I haven't been adjudicated on that process yet. Still haven't had my trial on it. But long story short, he sees it's me in the car, and he comes over and he starts to deal with me. We were very scared for our life. You know what I mean? We were petrified because one, he's in a group of hate. They think I'm a Jew, but I'm not a Jew. Mm-hmm. Dave is a real Jew. There's been so much a sensationalization of his religion, his money, his support towards me, this foundation supporting me. So this guy's on fire, like this cop is. So we're like, listen, we need a supervisor. We need additional units coming here. Do you have a body cam on? Like,
does he have a body cam?
He did have a body cam,
okay.
Right. So we're recording too. So we're seatbelted in. Dave's got the keys out, hands are up. We're like, listen, we don't feel safe here, right? You're a dirty cop, right? He knows, I know that he's a criminal. We got all this information about him, and we're legitimately scared. We don't, he could shoot us and be like, sprinkle a little crack cocaine and be like, boom. You know what I mean? The bad guys. What it comes down to basically is that he sprayed me with mace through the window and then punched me in my face. And then we tussled, and then I got the shit beat out of me. So immediately, within minutes, like it was almost like people telepath, helicopter. I mean, the news, the most wanted man in Vermont, the most dangerous man. That picture you saw, like I was shuttled off. And now starts the felony Daniel Banyai, the criminal, right? Now, everything they have envisioned has metastasized into what they wanted, right? So weeks prior was a civil violation, a civil warrant for a zoning violation, to now a felony interfering with law enforcement duty. That's the felony charge I caught. He broke my orbital socket. I had a cranioocular fracture. I lost some teeth, and I had this whole shoulder redone orthopedically. I mean, I took it. I got the shit beat out of me, for sure. So I go off to where now we'll have a lot of commonality, right? I go off to this facility, Marble Valley Regional Correctional Facility, right? And
this is a jail.
Yeah. Well, so Vermont doesn't have jails and prisons. They're all one institution.
Okay.
Vermont's procedure is that you get incarcerated in a facility. You could call it a jail or a prison because there's only 4 of them in the state, 3 for men and 1 for women. Three facilities. Okay. And if you have over 1 year of any sentencing, they ship you to Mississippi. So, and to privatize. It's been that way for a long time. It changes. Sometimes they make a contract with Rhode Island. Sometimes they make a contract with Pennsylvania. But the contract currently is if you get more than a year sentencing.
That doesn't feel right. I feel like you're supposed to be sentenced in the jurisdiction.
They get away with it. No. You go right down to Mississippi. They drive you in a Crown Vic in one day. Vermont, bam, straight to Mississippi. So I get all this medical, and I get to this facility, which well, let's back up a little bit in the sense that with my duties as a gunfighter, running and gunning, I had hostage training, SEER training, how to survive and respond and evade and escape. The government and everyone knows this. I mean, just because I'm this bearded bandit, I still have a mindset of how do I survive? How do I prevail? Essentially, how could I escape? So I get to this facility and I go right into confinement, AgSeg, like confinement. And I remember it because like they dragged me in and I'm like, I'm not going to the infirmary. Like I'm not. Like they dragged me into this cell block and the officer puts 2 9-ounce Solo cups down and he goes, "This is your water." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "There's a faucet right there." He's like, "No, there's no water in here." So I'm like, I'm tuned up, Matt. Like I took a beating, like for sure. And I get in there and I'm like, "Listen, I need to call my lawyer." They're like, "No, you have to go in front of the judge first before you get your call." Everything is different. What I'm about to tell you, you may look at me like, "Nah, I think Daniel's lying." But when you look it up, the essential components of incarceration anywhere else is different than in Vermont. And I'll tell you why. I was like, "No, I get my phone call." He goes, "No, even when you do get your phone call, we have to vet that phone call and approve it. You're not just going to pick up the payphone and call anyone." So I'm like, wow, like, all right, let me just focus on my physical health. My mental health, I know. I mean,
did the guy driving the car what was his name?
David.
Did David get arrested too?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm assuming David's out there getting you. I do feel like that David's out there getting.
Yeah, no, he called my lawyers. I mean, because he's writing the checks. You know, so it's him and his father's name, Bert Brodsky. They're great people. They're one of the largest private donators to the Alzheimer's research. I mean, we're talking about millions and billions of dollars. These people are very wealthy.
Right.
They're like the Donald Trumps of society. They just happen to be Jewish.
Yeah.
And happen to like people like me advocating for Jews. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's no different if you went and advocated for your kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that on the outside, he's getting help. Someone's getting help. I got to focus on my physical health. Like I'm tuned up, right? So a day goes by and now I have experience in surviving, right? I know where to place my mind. I know what to do to, let's just say, entertain myself so that I don't go into the depression abyss or whatever, of that. That's some of the training I got overseas. If I was ever captured, what can I do, et cetera. I'm not going to bore you with that stuff, but I've already prepped my mindset. And one of the things that I believed instantaneously would be discriminative or not the norm is, you know what a sally port is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In my training, like I've taught at a couple police academies. I knew the sally ports. I knew that when I went in them, you have to take your guns off, your weapons or whatever. When I got brought into this facility, all of the officers kept their guns on. Now I'm getting dragged in, but I'm like, wait a minute. I saw the sign, check your guns, check your tasers, check even your magazines. And all these guys were still armed up. And I'm like, oh, Lord, this ain't going to be good. So I just put that in the back. So the second day, they come, they pull me to the feeder port, cuff me up. They're going to open the door, and I come out, and there was a doctor. And I look at this one, I go, whoa, I think that's the doctor I saw at the hospital. Because after I got arrested, they took me right to the hospital, shut down. I mean, it was a big ordeal, man. It was all really, really for the sensation of notoriety. We got him.
Yeah.
The cops, they're dressed.
The perp walk, the whole thing.
Yeah, the perp walk I'll get to, which backfired on them. But I get into this, and I'm looking, I'm like, whoa, I think that's the doctor I saw at the hospital. Like, they brought her all the way here. And she's kind of mouthing off to me, and I'm just like, listen, slow down. Like, my family has money. We have very major people involved with this. I'm entitled, I don't care what you call me, I'm entitled to the same medical care, triage, and therapies that anyone else has. Like, I pull a tooth out. I'm like, blood. I'm like, she's like, sir, you're getting everything you deserve.
Okay.
I'm like, really?
That doesn't sound.
Well, it's not. So I'm like, I don't want to fight, right? I just did this. I just participated in this scuffle with this cop, right? Which is not me, but I had to survive. I need to go back to the Daniel that everyone knows. I got to rebrand myself, right? Because now I am the person that the media and the community wanted, right? So I go back to my cell. About an hour later, CO slips a piece of paper underneath the door. I could barely read, but it says, you were approved for a wedge pillow.
Okay.
So next day, the doc comes back. She says, listen. I said, listen, I need medicine. I need a doctor. I have no vision in my eye. Right. She's like, no, we saw your scans. You have a broken bone. You have your eye sockets broken. Your eyeball is just being held in by the muscle. We can arrange someone for your teeth, your shoulder. I'm like, okay. She's like, this is what I suggest you do. Matt, listen. She goes, this is what I suggest you do. She goes, what I'd like you to do, just what I'd like you to do is rotate 600 milligrams of Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours. She goes, put a heating blanket on your eye for 10, 15 minutes and then rotate that with ice packs.
Where am I getting all this?
That's what I said to her. I said, ma'am, now, while this is the first time I've ever been incarcerated,
right.
Where am I going to get this stuff from?
Yeah. I'm in a fucking box.
Have you lost your fucking mind?
Right.
The second day, I go back. I'm not getting any better. I'm getting worse. I'm really trying to manage the pain. Like, I have no medicine at this time. Like, nothing. The wedge pillow comes. They're like, oh, elevate on the wedge pillow. So things aren't getting any better there. I'm getting sicker. I'm hurt. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm trying to manage this pain. I finally get a phone call. I call my lawyer. I call my girl, and they're like, "Listen, it's crazy. People, the times are changing. People are outside the jail. People, the movement in favor of you is changing. Like." The body cam video came out of the cop, bam, bam, bam on my head. The times are changing. Embrace that for whatever it's worth. So, like a week goes by, and this other CO, Daigle, and Rose come in, and they're like, "Well, they moved me to another facility. So I get moved to this other facility, which was a brand new facility, Matt. They say it was built to federal standards.
Okay.
It's over the border in New York now, like literally right on the border. The whole facility opened up in March, and I think I got there like the last week in March, right? So it's brand new. Like, you can still smell the new car smell. You know what I mean?
Right.
The paint and everything. But it was a giant facility, no outdoor, all concrete. The entire place was lined with 3/4 inch metal. Everything, like every wall, everything was steel, like on top of the concrete. Now, I have some experience from TV and things I read, so I get there, and they do the perp walk, and people are banging on the windows, people are saluting, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, I'm all over TV now,
right?
The local channels, and they're magnifying the situation. So I'm like, okay, that could be into my benefit, because someday I'm going to be out and I'm going to have some explaining to do, right? So I get to this place and I go right into confinement, right? Like, immediately.
All right.
So now my lawyers are calling, so they're like, okay, you're going to get in front of the judge. Okay, great. So I'm broken. I go in front of the judge, and the judge is like, okay, listen, here's what you already know. Now that you're incarcerated, the state is going to go into your property and demolish everything. However long that takes, bulldozing, flattening everything, gathering everything up, putting in containers. After the land is leveled, we can let you out. At that point, when we can let you out, we will then revisit posting bond for fighting with the cop. It's really interfering with law enforcement duties. That's a felony charge.
Okay.
So in the meantime, you're going to stay in confinement. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but almost everywhere in the United States of America, the judicial system has divisions, right? When you went to court, right, you got sentenced.
Yeah.
Then when you went to incarceration, that's when they do the evaluation, completely separate from the sentencing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. At the incarceration phase, you're evaluated. Are you gangs? You change. That's where they house you. This judge had ordered me to go directly into confinement. So my lawyer's like, wait, what? 120 days in the box. So my lawyer's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you have nothing to do with that. That's two separate, completely separate departments or divisions.
Divisions, exactly. It's almost two different worlds.
You have,
Right. So go back to court. Go back to the facility. I go back into confinement. The warden comes out. Really nice lady, come cuff up. They open the door. She's like, listen, I run this institution here. This is my house.
Right. Not the judge.
Right.
Judge
She goes, but this judge has ordered me to keep you in confinement.
That doesn't seem like a valid order. It's not. How's that valid?
But it's not. She goes, and it's not valid. She goes, but I got to follow those orders because you are who you are, and I have to follow those orders. I don't necessarily agree with it because in my house, she said, I do the evaluation, gang affiliation, religion. There's a whole criteria. She goes, it doesn't make a difference if you checked all the boxes. You stay in confinement for 120 days. And I mean confinement. It was a 9x6 cell. I couldn't even have a Bible in there.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about like, woo! I really had to keep, and I'm trying to heal with no medical. No medical. So I'm doing my time. My lawyers were fighting diligently. That House and state argument, you know, like, hey, this judge had it's not even in his responsibility. He does the sentencing, bam. He might be able to say, go to this prison or go that, but he can't say the terms and conditions.
Judges can't even say what prisons you go to. They can make a suggestion.
Right.
That is the most they can do.
And a lot of times the suggestion is predicated on proximity, your family, whatever. But this guy goes outside the bounds. Like, he's like, listen, you're not only the sentencer, you're also being the punisher.
Right.
Because, listen, you're a corrupt judge. You hate Daniel Banyai. You don't like the Second Amendment. Like, you drank the Kool-Aid of all the narratives that have been spoken about this man. You jumped on that bandwagon. And now you've opened up a certain level of litigation where you are now challenging his constitutional rights and civil liberties. It doesn't make a difference. Like, even if he acted up right here in front of you, you could add more charges or more sentencing. But when he goes to the sentencing, that facility determines. So I'm in this solitary confinement. I'm dealing with it. I'm trying to get healthier. I'm trying to get more physically. Mentally, I'm there. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. I'm keeping myself busy. I'm trying to heal. And outside in society, they're tearing down my property. The police come in, lots of police. We got video. My lawyers are there. They're tearing down buildings. People are laughing. All the liberals and the the media, they're just. I lost $1.6 million worth of infrastructure. It may not seem a lot to you, but you combined
like a lot to me.
Buildings and people are like, oh, you could get more wood. I'm like, but seamless roofs, and they just crushed everything and took it away.
Yeah,
like they took the animals' housings away. They took the animals' food away. But the outcry is just, this is terrible. How can this happen? But how could it happen? It's happening. It's happening to Daniel Stephen Banyai. Like, this is what's happening to this guy. So they get the property level. Like, they literally, like the judge put in his decision, put it back to the way God made it. And I had this one young federal lawyer from New Jersey who was on a case. He goes, how could anyone say the way God made it? Like, we've only, like, that judge and us and our group, we've only been, let's just say, in existence for 100 years. If you add us all together, it's nowhere near what, how could you say a statement, put it back to the way God had it?
Right.
Like, you're really talking about a fanatical, tyrannical system that did me dirty. So I'm getting close to come out of confinement. And my lawyer's like, okay, Daniel, prison mindset, right? Like, my lawyers are coaching me. Oh, Daniel, be careful when you go into general population. Be careful. I'm like, yeah. Now, unbeknown to me, a guy in that facility had saw me, like, when I was brought in, when I got transferred there, and he started telling people, oh, this is the guy that was on TV. He beat the shit out of this cop, and that's subjective. That's his own opinion. But he's fighting for people. So that little monotone helped, I think, in the incarceration population. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I had already had my mindset, like, listen, I had all my paperwork ready. I knew when I was released in the general population, I already made up my mind. I'm going to find out who the key holder is, who's a shot caller here. I'm going to go up to him and like, here's my paperwork. I'm here. I want to integrate with you guys. I want to do my time. I don't want any trouble. Now, you may laugh at that, but that was kind of my mindset. Like, that's just what I was going to do.
Yeah. I mean, you're being held in a facility waiting to go in front of the judge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't been sentenced.
No,
like,
no. But a lot of these people in there were either on the road to life or 25 without parole, or
so typically like in jails, like a lot of that stuff just doesn't apply.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you got to show up with your paperwork. Like we're all in transit.
Right.
You know, we don't have time for we're just trying to relax and get our sentence, and we can talk about that at prison.
Yeah.
In prison.
This, unfortunately, was kind of like maybe a mock model of that, because there was a lot of dudes in there for a longer time. They had been transferred in, or they had already been in there for not that specific facility because it was brand new, but maybe an adjoining facility for 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Trial issues, sentencing issues, whatever. So it comes my day, and they're like, okay, you've done your 120 days in confinement. We're going to release you into general population. So they're like, we want to transition you into a little bit less confinement, but not generally general population. So I'm like, well, what does that mean? They're like, well, we have another pod over here, which your cell might be a little bit bigger, but you'll have 10 or 11 feet that you could walk, but you're still disconnected from the general. I'm like, okay. All right.
Yeah. You don't have a choice.
I mean, really, I never fought or argued.
Right.
I was always cooperative. So they move me over, and now there's more glass. So now most of the guys in the general population, which is almost like 85% black, could see me. Mm-hmm. So I clean up my cell, I clean up my shower stall, and I'm not even in that area for 5 or 6 hours. CO comes over, and he's like, listen, we're going to move you to the general population. I'm like, oh, that's it? Like, the evaluation's over? So no cuffing, no. He's like, go in your cell, get your stuff, which was almost nothing. So I go over, and he sends me over to my cell. And so I go in, I get my paperwork, and Alex comes over. Now, the whole time I was in a jumper, an orange jumper. Mm-hmm. I had one pair of briefs, one pair of socks, and one T-shirt. That was it. And you always have to be in your jumper if CO comes, especially if there's a female on the unit. It's just, and it's like 100 degrees in there, and it's metal. The metal walls and ceiling is sweating, and I'm burning up in this jumper. I would take it down, and so Alex comes over to me, goes, "Hey, welcome to general population." I'm like, "Listen, who's the shot caller here? Who's the main guy here?" He goes, "Oh, the guy over there, that black guy over there. His name is Bugs." So I don't know. You can make fun of me all you want. I don't know. I have my paper rolled up.
Right.
So I walk over and go, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Good, good." I go, "You're like the main guy?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I run this joint." I go, "Okay." So I start to hand my paper. He goes, "No. Because we know who you are."
Yeah. First of all, you're they look at you like you're like a civilian, bro.
Yeah,
like you just, this is to those guys who are criminals, they're like, you have a stupid charge. Like you should not be here. Well, like they know you shouldn't be here.
So, and that's what the mockery came, because he's like murderer, arsonist, cannibalism, zoning violator. You know what I mean? So he's like, I don't know why you're in here, but you're here.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't need to see my paperwork. He's like, no, I know more about you than you do. It's on the fucking television, right? He's like, the few hours a day because I couldn't see the television or anything. He's like, we're watching you. The body cam, the court case, the protesting. He's like, so I said to him, I said, listen, man, can you help me? He goes, yeah. And I go, I know nothing's for free. I was like, I'd really like a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. So he's like, anything else? I'm like, I'll start with that. Like, I had just been so sick, man, of being in this canvas jumper. You know what I mean? So I don't know, a couple hours later, he had that juice. He talked to his CO, a brown bag came, he comes and he handed it to me, and there was 2 white T-shirts and a pair of shorts. I'm like, to me, that was like birthday and Christmas.
All right.
Because I had been 120 days in this jumper. So I go in my cell, I put it on, I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. So I don't like peanut butter, so I grabbed a couple of packets of peanut butter and I bring it over to him. I go, listen. He goes, no. I go, nah, man, I don't want to owe you anything. Like, this is not my life, but the little,
so funny.
It is, right?
Because he's probably like, this guy.
Yeah.
He's got like convict rules.
Yeah.
He's absolutely not a convict.
Right.
He's not like.
So,
like the main guys that were walking in there were none of them were behaving like this. Like they've been like, they're not.
No.
Hey, here's my paperwork. What are you talking about? You're going to sentencing in like 2 weeks. You won't be here in a month. Like,
so, I mean, I'm just whatever. I've learned some stuff off TV. I've seen some stuff. I don't really know any people who've done time. So what do I know, Matt? I mean,
yeah, I get it.
I want to survive. I want to integrate. So I go and I said, listen, his name is Bugs, a Jamaican guy, Rasta. I actually speak to him weekly. He just got sentenced to 25 to life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I put money on his books every week, man. He's got nobody in this country. Anyways, he really became a product of a little bit softer life for me in jail because, well, I didn't think I was a very big guy there. I thought some of the colored guys were bigger than me, but maybe they beat up one guy or took one life. And the moral of it is I've been behind a gun my entire career. Like, while you did things nefarious and illicitly, I did things way worse than that.
Right.
Some of the worst sins on society and mankind I'm not proud of, but I did it with immunity and impunity. So if you think that the guy you beat up with a baseball bat and killed him on the Tappan Zee Bridge is bad, you don't know what I'm living with.
Right.
So, like, I already had that mindset. Don't fuck with me. Like, I don't want any trouble.
Right.
Right. They don't know that I'm got this eyeball that's just floating around. I'm trying to massage the hole where the teeth fell out. Like, I'm in trouble physically. I'm faking it.
Yeah.
In my presentation because I don't want to get victimized.
Right.
You know. So he got me the shorts. I gave him. He like, no, I don't want the peanut butter. I'm just. It was very divisionalized. People were compartmentalized, and it was a division. All the blacks were in one area. Hispanics were in one area. Not that many white guys there, but so like the next day, I'm way down all by myself at a table eating hey, yo, Danielle. And yeah, Bugs, yes, you come and eat with me. And no one sat at this table.
All right.
So I'm like, I know, I'm not worried, but I'm also like, I'm watching I got my guard up. I don't know, like what this, you know what I mean? I'm not doing any favors. So I sit down. He's like, listen, you sit here with me every day. So I started sitting there and I didn't eat pork, and I was very conscientious of what pork products were in my food. The Department of Corrections said no pork, but a real right. And I take my faith very seriously. So I would say, hey, Bugs, you want this patty? And give me this cabbage. So we formed a relationship very quickly. The guy next to me, the guy Gator, we called him. Same thing. Like hardcore dudes, serious criminals facing multiple life sentences without parole. They're never going to get out. And then there's me. Like he said, he's like murder, arson, zoning violator. He's like, this is an abnormality. But what really came into the focal point is that they caught on very quickly how I was treated much differently than them, which presented a reasonable suspicion for them and hesitation for me. For example, those major league players, for whatever reasons, were just so, I don't want to say concerned or enamored, but they really wanted to know why. Like, there were some tensions a few times. Like, wait, why are you being treated like that? Like, I go to pre-sentencing report. I go to see my attorney. I go, why are you in... And at one time I had said, why don't you just ask the warden? Because, like, I don't like it either that I'm treated differently, but that's the nature of the beast. Just like a judge cannot set the terms and conditions of your punishment. They sentence you to the punishment. Mm-hmm. That's like if the judge said, okay, 2 years of breaking rocks. I mean, we're making a mockery. Yeah. We're romanticizing this. But you know that. You way better than me. That is not in the legislature. That's not in the statute. That is not applicable to the punishment process. But this judge did do that and made or tried to make life really difficult for me. And for 120 days, it was tumultuous. But the reality of it is that the process was playing itself out, right? They demolished my property. They left nothing there. I go in front of the judge. The judge is now in a position where there really can't be any more punishment, right? We have to start the judicial process appropriately. Offer bail, $250,000 bail. Friends in the community raise the bail. Found a bail bondsman. He bails me out, and bails me out with with a certain level of pride and a smile on his face. I've been following your case. There's going to be no restrictions for you. I know you're going to be a solid dude. You're going to fight this. Because it could have been worse. I could have had an ankle bracelet. I could have had to report to him. I could have had all these other trials and tribulations, which sometimes is almost like probation or before your pre-sentencing report. It can get kind of tumultuous. But I get out. I get back to Vermont, which was a whole nother calamity. I get back to Vermont. I get to my property. It's leveled. I just want to cry. I'm crushed. Like everything I hand built, like you've built your stuff, my hands built this stuff. Is gone. And now I'm faced with what's the next steps? What am I going to do? My lawyers are...
What about the tiny home? Is the tiny home still there?
Yeah, tiny home's there. That's the only thing they didn't take down. Yep. My animals are... It's a hot mess. It's repairable. Everything's repairable. Everything's fixable. But the ultimate situation is that since 2000, the initiation... the onset of this criminal element of this, right? Contempt of court, whatever. There's been fines. The fines have been $100 a day plus interest plus surcharges. It goes. So I get out of jail, and the fines are already over $350,000. It's just right, and now it's over $500,000. So every day the fines are accruing and going up. So I had my property valued. I had an appraisal done after, and the appraiser's like, listen, it's just the land. It's $100,000.
Right.
There's nothing here anymore.
Yeah.
There's no infrastructure. There's literally nothing. So where we are at today is I'm waiting patiently for my criminal trial, which I've pled not guilty, and we plan to try it. My attorneys think it's going to be an excellent outcome. They're not just speaking hypothetically; they're speaking strategically. The police officer that did assault me used excessive force, went outside the scope of law enforcement duties, applied a different level of hate. Yeah, just a few more punches.
Yeah.
Let me teach this boy. So that has all been captured on video cam. Unbelievably, unbeknown to anyone, there was a secret trail camera in the woods, right where he pulled me over and beat the crap out of me. So that's another element of viewing pleasure for the juries and prosecutors and my defense team. And I think that will all manifest into something favorable for me. I hope that people do see excessive force, law enforcement policies and procedures were violated. People were compliant. No, they weren't doing what you wanted them to do, but you can't spray them in the face and punch them in the face.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the articulation of the model of what maybe you and I don't see, but someone else that would look at police, it's not behaviorally appropriate.
Right.
You shouldn't go into incarceration, no matter who you are. I've got some hate to certain criminals. I'm sure you have the same, anything with women or children, but the application of justice should be applied uniformly, not at a different level for a zoning violator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
well, if you can't keep your anger in check and behave like a professional, you shouldn't be in law enforcement.
Right. And I think my defense team is going to model that from the historical data of being arrested and it's unfortunate this guy's in the situation, but I learned my lesson. I'm not going to go back and do what I just did. You know what I mean? And I'm on the property now. I'm in federal court, which is a whole nother monster, which you're well more versed than I am, has been flexible in the sense of allowing me to stay on my land, but also punitive in that soon we're going to be removing you and we'll use every force, including but not limited to the National Guard, if we feel you're insubordinate in removing yourself from the property. So eventually, the court's decision will come down from the federal circuit that I'll have to leave the property.
Why do you have to leave the property?
So I have to leave the property because the fines are over $500,000 right now, and I'm never going to pay them.
They want to take the property.
Yeah, they're going to take the property.
Okay, so if they take the property and sell it, then you have to leave.
Right, I have to leave. Right. So their preemptive measures are preparing. Like, okay, we already know what he did here. So
do they have homestead?
So I applied for the homestead in the federal, and I lost because, unbeknown to many, doing everything the right way, I formed a non-for-profit 501c3.
Okay.
And
yeah, you're excluded. It has to be in your personal name.
Right.
Because if it's in your personal name and you applied and you got homestead, then you can just keep adding that $100 fine every day for eternity.
Right.
Doesn't affect. I'm not leaving.
Yeah. And also the agricultural resources, whether it be livestock or produce, we donated everything. So we don't have a sense to say, hey, Your Honor, $50,000 went into the community, which well more than that. You know, we've always given everything away for free. It's a triangulation of unfairness and imbalance that has, maybe not this year, but inevitably I'm gonna have to leave the property. Another causatation to kind of survive the negative of that is that the town is never going to be able to recoup the fines, the attorney fees. It's well over $1 million, you know, that has affected everyone. But what is most important, I think, in maybe in closing, is that this community, Rutland County, Vermont, has really weaponized a situation. Yes, it is zoning, but it was zoning because someone was exercising their Second Amendment rights. You know what I mean? I don't think if I was crocheting or whittling wood into figurines that
you'd be in this situation.
Yeah. And while many do say, Daniel, you're fighting City Hall, you know, you're challenging the government, I think it's really quintessential for everyone to realize that we need more people to do this. Now, I survived the evil of this because I've done evil, but that just motivated me to be more vigilant in my message that, hey, I did everything the right way. I'm still being penalized. You know what I mean? Like, I could understand if I didn't follow X, Y, Z, or I stepped out of, or they try to bring comparison in because there is no precedent. Like I set the tone, and the tone has magnified into the state actually made a law in my name called the paramilitary law, which they banned all Vermonters from shooting together more than two people. I'm just paraphrasing this law, but basically the state legislators convened while I was incarcerated and said, listen, we cannot let people train together. Two people, father and son. If he's got a third son, that person's got to wait. No more. So they have really set this into a mission. You know what I mean? They're putting all the proper procedures in place to make sure you're not entitled to your Second Amendment rights.
The problem with it's a misdemeanor is that it turns into a warrant, and you end up in prison, and people say, oh, it's just a misdemeanor. No.
Yeah,
you can end up
sure
being thrown in prison for that. Like anytime they come up with these silly laws, they're like, oh, well, it's just a fine. No, it's a fine as long as you comply. When you stop complying, it turns into something much more serious, and you sit there in a prison cell and go, I can't. How did this happen?
Yeah.
I don't. Did you ever see the Arvin Heemeyer case where he had it? Wasn't it zoning also?
Yeah, it was zoning.
It was zoning.
Right.
He's fighting with these guys forever. They're doing all kinds of fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Like they bought a piece of property and then allowed him to not access his property. It was just the town's just completely against him. And it's all because, isn't it all because of like some rich guys wanted his land or something like that? Or,
yeah, it's tyrannical overreach. He went to the news. Same thing with me. Like I had the bane of my existence is this attorney Bent and her law firm partner having such an influence in the media. I mean, the Bundy family.
Right.
They reached out to me on social media and they're like, hey, we heard about you. Have you heard our movement? I mean, and a lot of people also tried to correlate what I was doing with like Ruby Ridge. And I'm like, no, I have nothing. Like we were not doing anything illegal or nefarious here. Like, please don't affiliate.
he had sold Ruby Ridge. He had sold a gun to an ATF agent. They then had a court case, and they changed the court date, and he wasn't notified.
Right.
They mailed it to an address that he had lived at 10 years earlier or something, and it was a wrong address. You changed it. They put a warrant out. He had no idea there's a warrant out.
Right.
You come on his property to try and grab him. You shoot his dog. You shoot some other guy.
Right.
Like, they have no idea who you are. And there's a whole standoff because the government fucked up and he didn't bow down immediately. But in the same thing with the Heemeyer case, he got so frustrated where most people might say, hey, I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna take my life. He said, which is just fucking epic.
Right.
He says, before I go, I'm going to build a bulldozer that is unstoppable, and I'm taking this whole fucking town out. And he takes out the whole fucking town and eventually gets caught on something, the bulldozer, and he ends up, they come and they try and get to him. I think he took his own life which is horrible, but the bulldozer, building this bulldozer that is indestructible, that takes out the whole town is, I'm sorry, it's just great.
Yeah.
And I know it's wrong.
No, but I don't see it to be as wrong because I've watched, so I know we're in closing, but I've spent a lot of money through our non-for-profit and through our outreach. You know, we've sent postcards out. We've made a lot of contact, newspaper ads, and a lot of people, I'm not that guy. Like, I'm very easy to find on the social media, internet. Google my name, email address, home at phone number. And I respond to people. And one of that is preventing this from happening. And I've seen many people of color just kicked out of the community. Many people that are Jewish, the LGBTQ plus, forget about it. Like, they just eradicate you. You're gone. Like, they're going to get you out. To me, their model of how they do that pompously and arrogantly is what fuels them. I came in doing nothing wrong. It's no different if I came in and I was black or I was a real Jew. The issue that I have is the effectiveness, right? It's the effective. How effective are these people? I don't think it's right. I know for me personally, it's not constitutionally applicable. I bought some land and a property. I bought land and property in an area anyone else could have bought it, right? It was on an MLS. I happened to buy it. I was doing something constitutionally applicable there. The argument could have been much different if I opened up a junkyard, opened up a sex toy shop, or anything else that's not constitutionally protected. Civil rights-wise, constitutionally-wise, what I was doing was protected, Matt. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said no, never. But in Vermont now, I'm the only property in the entire state that no firearms can be utilized on. I'm the only individual that's been negated my rights to land use. My land use rights, whether agricultural or ag-res, right? There are statutes and limitations and other procedures that could have either interfered or questioned, like we talked about earlier, 14 days, 12 days, whatever. But several years later, to have something taken away, 99.9% of the average Vermonter would be like, okay, no problem. I'll do whatever you say, Your Honor, God, you know, and that's not the society that any of us signed up for. And that's the position I'm in.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Also, if you want to get in contact with Daniel, we're going to leave his contact information in the description box. We are also going to leave all of his socials in the description box. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show, we're going to leave our website address so you can go there, fill out the Be a Guest application. Super short. It's like 5 questions. Leave a short video, and we will get back with you as soon as possible. Thank you very much. See ya.